Так, ребята, всем привет. Сейчас проверим наши звуки, пуки и так далее. Через 10 минут Microsoft начинает трансляцию Build 2026. По последним данным, Microsoft покажет приложение Super Copilot. То есть все решения, все и решения будут запускаться из этого приложения. Новое развитие, новый виток развития Windows, новый виток развития решений Microsoft по поводу Windows. Коллаба с NVIDIA, какой-то супер ПК или что-то там такое. И проект, короче, вроде как. Через 9 минут Microsoft начинает Microsoft Build 2026, а мы с вами немножко пораньше. Вот, чтобы, как бы успеть запуститься, посмотреться, поздороваться. Потому что когда ты выходишь сразу к делу, то есть сразу с кондачка в порожней и как бы это самое. Вот, мы с вами. Всем привет! Всем привет! Сегодня у нас вот трансляция. Я говорю, мы скоро вернемся на канал. То есть я веду разработку. Сейчас приложение. И анонсик в рамках этой трансляции будет анонс. 14 июня будет презентация этого приложения. Вместе со мной, с разработчиком, мы посмотрим, я покажу приложение, я расскажу о приложении, объявлю официально цены, вот, и запущу продажи. Вот. Так, у нас что со звуком? У нас есть? Да, звук у нас есть. Звук у нас есть, трансляция у нас идет, пропуска кадров у нас по нулям. Теперь мы ждем Microsoft, что нам остается делать? Теперь мы ждем компанию Microsoft. Вот, анонсировали супер ПК какой-то, ну, я не думаю, что это будет прям супер ПК. Это какой-то, как звучит как бред, по сути. Мы сейчас посмотрим на это. Улучшение для Windows. Microsoft, кстати, начала исправлять огромные ошибки касаемо Windows. Я читал в Твиттере новости. Microsoft, она позволила откреплять панель задач снизу и прикреплять ее сверху, справа и слева, как это было в Windows 10. Вот. Я думаю, что следующим шагом будет использовать маленькие значки панели задач и меню пуск. Я на это очень сильно надеюсь, потому что это было здорово, это было в Windows 10. Я не понимаю, почему Microsoft убрала вот эту функцию в Windows 11. Это вообще бред. Вот. А по поводу супер ПК вот этого, это новое решение, новое ARM решение от NVIDIA для Windows 11 ARM, то есть под Windows 11. Вот. Мир движется к архитектуре ARM, и это надо принять. Вот. Компьютеры, железо x86, оно до сих пор, а, то есть работает, оно до сих пор продается. И ближайшие 10 лет оно будет и продаваться, и будем собирать компьютеры. Кому надо, кому не надо. Вон у меня PlayStation 5, я играю на PlayStation 5, а работаю на Маке. Ну, я собираюсь собрать комп, потому что мы вот и по винде уже ничего не снимаем. Надо компьютер. Я не хочу нагружать Mac, потому что у меня вот он чисто для работы, для программирования, для создания чего-либо. Вот. Времени осталось 6 минут. Вот, подключаемся потихонечку. Ждем, ждем, ждем. Я пока себе квас налью. Вот, сегодня будет интересно. Вот. По поводу, так, это лишнее. Открылось я. Наушник тронул, у меня открылось. Так, я не знаю, сколько будет идти трансляция, но мы решили, что будем обсуждать все. От игр до технологий. Точнее, наоборот, от технологий до игр. У нас эта неделя полностью стримерская. После Microsoft Build у нас стрим в 12 ночи. Ну, в 23:30 мы начнем, а в 12 ночи будет Sony State of Play. И мы тоже будем это смотреть и обсуждать. То есть мы расширяем границы для аудитории. Мы говорим об играх, искусственном интеллекте, новых технологиях, новых устройствах. У нас через неделю, уже через неделю, даже меньше, 6 дней осталось, до WWDC 26. И мы это тоже будем обсуждать. Один маленький нюанс. Microsoft не будет страйкать наши трансляции. Вот я открыл презентацию на официальном канале. Страйка не будет. Microsoft и Sony этого не делают. В отличие от Apple, то есть они разрешают прям стримить, но если мы комментируем, если мы обсуждаем, вот, постараюсь для вас перевести все то, что происходит на экране. Но это будет кусочки перевода, это не полностью будет перевод. Я не умею синхронно переводить пока что. Но самое главное, что язык я знаю, и мне этого достаточно. Но надо учить, ребята. Вот кто меня смотрит, кто с нами, учите иностранные языки. Это очень пригодится в будущем. Мне мама говорила, учи, 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 потому что тебе это понадобится. Я думаю, где мне это понадобится? А в итоге, видите, надо. Начал работать с технологиями, начал рассказывать, надо знать английский язык. Вот. Мне бы еще, чтобы дочка заснула, так это вообще будет замечательно. Мы тогда спокойно с вами поговорим, посмотрим, порассуждаем, пообсуждаем. Так, давайте, наверное, сафарик как-то Ну, не буду я его прикреплять. Не буду. Давайте сделаем следующим образом. Я создам новую сцену и создам сафари, чтобы видеть ваши комментарии. И так, захват окна, по-моему, правильно? Захват звука, захват экрана, создать новый, захват приложения, экран, ретина дисплей и сафари. Так, и, наверное, стоп, секунду, захват экрана. Так, это у нас... Так, секунду. Наверное, не получится. Или получится. Сейчас я его центрирую. Группировать, преобразовать весь экран. Ну, то есть вот так вот оно будет. Оно поверх моего. Да, оно поверх. Оно не должно быть поверх. Ну ладно. Или обычный захват экрана вернем. Ладно, пускай будет так, ребята. Пускай будет так. Ой, не успел настроиться, не успел прийти в себя вообще сейчас. Все, они должны уже начинать. Ждем пользователя Microsoft. Надо еще по звуку проверять, будет ли у нас звук в самой трансляции. Так, сейчас посмотрим, секундочку. Потому что без звука такое себе. Но звук мы сделаем минимальный. То есть мы же будем обсуждать все. Так, а двигается это? Я подвину. Браузер. Браузер. Так. Ну, где ты, Microsoft? Нет, пока еще нет. Ну, алло, вы где? Что-то опаздывают. Опаздывают. Сейчас таки выйдут. Ну, все, простите, презентации не будет. Это шутка, конечно. Шучу. Будет, все будет, только они... 7:30 по Москве. Вот они спозднились. С минуты на минуту должны начать. Вроде как. Так, давайте. Обновим страницу. Да ты серьезно? Давай быстрее. Давайте, приходите. Microsoft. Я уже жду. Я уже и не один жду, поэтому, ну, как бы, имейте совесть какую-то. Нам всем интересно, как вы исправляете свои ошибки. И что вы нового нам расскажете. Так, ну алло. 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 Опаздывают, представляешь?
Здравствуйте, это автоответчик. Мы не можем сейчас вам ответить, потому что нам дают ключевые.
Гениально. Да, очень гениально. Да. Ждем пользователя Microsoft. Вот Apple не опаздывает на свои стримы. Минута в минуту они даже, например, стрим в 8 вечера по Москве, и они начинают его в 19:58. А Microsoft что-то опаздывает. Кофе допивают, что ли? Утро у них 9:30. Кошмар какой. Стоп. Вот тут есть. А на том, Microsoft Developer. Так, ну здесь есть. Так, а там что, не будет? Подождите, я сейчас если не будет там, я переключу. А, нет, идет, все. Что со звуком у нас? А, есть звук. Все, есть звук. Так, поехали. Так, я надеюсь, не громко вывод экрана. Спасибо за лайк, я вижу его. Нормально, меня слышно. Я звук проверяю. Добрый вечер, все. Давай, удивляй.
To be back in San Francisco at Build. It's always fun to be at developer conferences at times of great change. You know, developer conferences are always about understanding tech shifts, understanding the new stack, but it's also about really
У вас только одни субтитры, мне было бы проще. Ну, конечно, у них только одни.
For the companies that we work at, as well as the broader world. So today we're going to unpack this. This conference is all about that. And if there's one key takeaway, it would be this. how do you all participate fully in this
How do we
frontier
build
intelligence
until...
ecosystem? Right? It's not about any one piece of technology that you'll hear about,
Сейчас,
or
сейчас,
even
сейчас,
the
ближе к
platform
делу будет.
itself.
Сейчас, секунду.
It's
Сейчас
about
я
the
вольюсь.
value
Это
that
вообще.
you can build, you can compound, you can create on top of the platform. That's what a developer conference needs to be about, and that's what we will focus on. So let's kind of
Так,
get into it.
трансляция живая у нас.
Let's take a
Секунду.
look at this AI stack that this
Живая
conference is going to
трансляция,
unpack in a
никто
great
никого не
amount of
банит.
detail.
Ой, как
It
хорошо.
starts, of course, with the compute fabric, right? That ubiquitous compute fabric
Отлично.
that spans the edge and the cloud.
Агент
You
рантайм.
then
Давно
have
пора уже
layer,
агентов
which is
сделать.
the emerging layer where you have the
Нормальных
models,
агентов.
you have context,
OpenAI
you have
сделала
tools the
агента, и
models
вот
can
люди
access.
пользуются.
And then on top of that, you have the runtime where you deploy your agents and applications that you built on top of the context layer, on top of the model layer. And then, of course, you have the best tooling to do all of this. And then you have the security, the compliance, and the governance, right? That's the simplest form of the tech stack. But let's kind of start where it always starts, which is infrastructure. And in fact, let's start at the edge with Windows. Because when you step back, the amount of
Хранение и моделей будет.
right? I mean, think about
Локальных
every
моделей.
NPU, GPU,
Они будут вот
CPU even.
делать для
Every
этого
PC. If you sort
инфраструктуру.
of aggregate that, that's a lot of compute power. So we asked ourselves one simple
И чтобы это
question,
работало, это вот
right? If we
NPU
can
нужен.
deliver unmetered intelligence to every
Нейропроцессор.
desk and every home, right? It takes us all the way back to the very beginning.
Unmetered
But that's what we
intelligence.
said. Can we do that in this era of AI? And in fact, we're in some sense delivering that already today, right? When you look at something like, say, Outlook Summarize, it's actually using onboard AI locally. Same thing with PowerPoint Alt Text or Teams Super Resolution. It's just not Microsoft stuff. It's a bit, for example, Adobe After Effects or Premiere.
Вот Adobe у них, вот если заплатить за, например, Photoshop, у них, да, у них искусственный интеллект прямо вот в программе. В платной версии.
Windows ML and Windows AI, right? So you now have the full install base of GPUs that you can get to. So I'm really thrilled that every developer out there can count on building for local onboard AI and then have it run across all of the install base. Now, if you're
короче, в широкую, в массы идет AI-PC с виндой. Ля, если бы они еще были дешевые.
Model Ion Instruct, and it's a great reasoning model. And then we have
Ion это агент.
Ion Plan, which is a local agentic loop. I mean, think
локальный агент. Походу, прям в винде будет этот агент. Насколько я понимаю. Локально, ну да. Локальные инструменты.
Push the limits, realize this unmetered intelligence. There's also a lot of hardware that's evolving too. And so we're thrilled to see the innovation across the Windows ecosystem, right? It's AMD with their Ryzen processors. The Panther Lake stuff from Intel is just exciting to see. Qualcomm announced two sets of things which are great. One on the high end with Snapdragon X2 Elite.
Вот X2 Elite вышел уже. Qualcomm. Компьютер с виндой, да. Они выпустили для него Windows 11 отдельный билд. Тихо, тихо, тихо. Следующее поколение ARM ПК с NVIDIA.
DRTM, right? So you now have all of the systems innovation and the SoC coming together, and we're really thrilled that one of the first devices that we built was the Surface Ultra, right? It's a beautiful device, and it really brings the power of NVIDIA together.
When we built the Surface,
craftsmanship of Surface. It's
Ну,
128
ну, насчет
gigabytes of
Surface понятно.
unified memory. It's
Давай к
equal
делу.
to 2000-nit display, and it
А, это
has
он и есть.
an all-day battery life. And so we're very excited to see this later this fall. And it's also wonderful to see all the designs from all the OEM partners who are building, taking advantage of this new SoC and the new platform, and bringing out some pretty exciting machines that's going to be all available come this fall. And so, of course,
Этой
we
осенью
said, okay,
будут
this is fantastic.
предоставлены вот эти
What can we
процессоры
do
новые
next? So we said,
для
let's try
вендоров,
and
чтобы
push
они
this
создавали свои
and
компьютеры
push the
на
architecture
базе этого
to its
чипа.
limit for developers, right? What if we could just max the compute, max the memory, build out that developer machine, that's the dream machine, and that's what we're announcing today. Surface RTX Spark DevBox. Let's roll the video.
Surface RTX. Хера себе. Ну-ка. AI-компьютер с NVIDIA RTX на борту. Ну, то есть... Это мини-компьютер, да? Это типа миника? Или это ноутбук? Подожди. Стой. Это миник. Это типа, вот знаете, как, ребята, как Mac Mini, ставится на стол, подключается к нему монитор, клавиатура, мышь, все. 20 ядер CPU, 128 гигабайт памяти в нем. Ну как бы... Короче, Microsoft пытается унизить маки, потому что маки уже поставляются со 128 гигабайтами объединенной памяти. То есть какие хитрые, слушай. Кошмар. Я понял их посыл сейчас, после вот того, как они компьютер этот показали. Они сейчас пытаются унизить Apple. Потому что уже лет так... года так 4, по-моему, в Маке можно себе взять 128 гигов этой памяти, блин, объединенной. Поэтому все понятно, мне лично все понятно. Но смотрим дальше. А если, подождите, а если я сделаю на весь экран, это будет видно вообще? Нет? Или да?
You have 70 plus utilities, so grep in full glory is now available for regular Windows access. 70 plus utilities, as I said, all of that is coming.
Да, видно, отлично, все. Я тут посматриваю наш стрим.
Things from the Mac that you love, things like Starship, Z Shell, Homebrew is going to be native on Windows as well, so you'll be able to switch to Windows.
Ого.
Today, we're announcing WSL containers. This is, I know, been a point of pain when you're managing all these environments. switching all the mental
Да
gymnastics,
ладно!
trying to keep this straight. So having
Homebrew будет
first-class
работать на
support
винде
for containers will
через
really
контейнер.
help us be in the flow when you are building
Да
and deploying
ладно!
locally. And to
Серьезно,
show all of
Microsoft?
this on our new Surface RTX Spark, I wanted to
Но это
invite up
только
on
на
stage
этом вот на AI
Kayla to
компьютерах.
just take a spin through all the dev tools. Kayla, go ahead.
Ты посмотри, блин.
Our team has been working hard to make Windows a great place for development. And today, I'm going to show you some major improvements and delighters you can try out today. So what we have
Ну-ка.
here is the default experience on the Surface RTX Spark dev box. Right away, it feels calm. There's no news feed, no widgets popping up, no notifications, and of course, we're in dark mode. I'm immediately ready to start development. Well, there's one thing I'd like to change. I like to put my taskbar on the left. So let me jump into my taskbar settings using the new Run, which is built leveraging the architecture of PowerToys command palette. No. I want it all the way on the left.
Вот так
There we
вот.
go.
Вот про что я
After
говорил
popular demand, we're
недавно.
excited to announce
Это
that vertical
вот
taskbar is now
сделали уже,
available in
будет это.
Windows Insider builds.
Толбар, ну то есть
The
менять
new
эту
Surface RTX
штуку.
Spark also has a
Панель
bunch of
задач,
key
меню
dev tools
пуск, как
already
в Винде
installed,
10
like
было.
Python, Node,
Да.
and many more of your favorites. All of the developer goodness, all in one file. And if you want to get the same experience today on your device, we're making this file available to everyone right now. We have a public repo set up with the configuration file and instructions for how to apply it using winget configure, which will make the adjustments to Windows and install all the tools. Now, one cool thing that I have running here is PowerToys' new utility called Grab and Move, which lets you hold Alt and move the window around from anywhere. Another tip is that you can enable End Task, which lets you end the process without having to open Task Manager. So let me jump into my dev drive. Dev drives run on REFS with Defender running in async and are optimized for performance when it comes to development scenarios. Also, File Explorer is Git aware. We've got stuff like last change author name, last change message, the status of each file. Plus, my favorite is that the branch name is on the bottom left. So now let's get started building and open our terminal. This is an experimental experience called Intelligent Terminal that makes working with agents
Новый
even more
PowerShell у
seamless.
нас есть.
When you first
Новая
install
версия
Intelligent
даже
Terminal,
видно.
you're greeted with the option to pick your favorite
Агенты
agent.
прямо в
I'm gonna
винде.
use
GitHub,
Copilot for
Cloud,
today, but you can use
Codex,
whichever agent speaks to you.
Copilot. То
Now
есть
here
можно
in
будет
Intelligent
выбрать
Terminal,
агента
I
и
have a regular
писать
terminal pane at the top and an
через
agent that's
PowerShell,
listening on the bottom, and I can work between them while the agent
использовать
helps along the
PowerShell
way.
для написания
So for example, here's an error being generated. My
программы для
agent pane is
программирования.
able to detect it and provide a
Ух
fix, which is
ты!
great when I don't remember the syntax, especially for something like regex. So I'm going to work on OpenClaw, and I've already
Локальные
built it using
модели.
WSL Container.
Локальные.
WSL Container
Без
is a native container
использования
experience on Windows.
сети.
Plus, it can leverage the GPU, which is
Локальные
perfect for
модели
the
прямо
Surface
у вас
RTX
на
Spark.
компьютере.
It can also reference your existing container files, just like the one in the OpenClaw project. So here's one of the files open in Microsoft Edit, which ships in Windows by default and just got syntax highlighting in its latest version. And then you can also just see your containers running with a simple container images command. And since we're on the topic of WSL, we're providing a WSL profile that's designed to feel comfortable for those of you who use tools like Starship, ZSH, and Homebrew. So it comes pre-configured with all of your favorite utilities, and it's available
Короче,
in the repo
терминал
that I showed
из
earlier. And it
macOS
also
и
includes one of my
Homebrew
favorites,
будут
VTOP.
работать в контейнере на
So
винде.
the Surface RTX Spark is
То есть
designed
вот
for
это вот
developer-heavy workloads, including serving large local models for
тема.
coding. I've already done some development with a 120 billion parameter model that most machines can't even load. So here's a quick view of my usage, and we can see how many tokens I've used locally. So we're
Что
looking
она
at
там?
about 3.4 million tokens leveraged on the device
А ее
itself.
видно? Ой,
Now, we can
дочку
kick off
мою
multiple
видно в
sub-agents
камере,
using
ребята.
Fleet. And just so
Так,
we
не
don't have to watch me
отвлекаемся.
type, I'm going to
Это
use
мой
Copilot's
маленький
voice
ребеночек.
feature, which is also leveraging its own local model. So I'll just hold spacebar and tell it what I want it to do. Find any console.writeline or debug.writeline calls in the tray and node projects and convert them to the standard logger used elsewhere in the code base. There we go. Now the main agent will delegate sub-agent
То есть
tasks
она
of appropriate
показывает, как
complexity to the local
работает
model,
локальная
utilizing my
модель
GPU and making it
искусственного
more cost-efficient.
интеллекта.
Now, as developers, while
А,
we're
И
debugging, we're
это
often
не,
looking through log
это,
files
это
to
не просто
diagnose any
модели, да,
issues.
это
Sometimes
агенты.
finding the location of the log files is a challenge. I'd love to be able to just type something like grep log and find them all. Ah, sweet. So on top of already adding curl, tar, and sudo to Windows, now we're adding over
Зашла в
75
папку,
command
да,
line utilities like env,
через SD,
head,
то есть
tail,
CD,
and touch
пробел.
for those of us who love to live in the terminal. So I found all my log files, but now having to parse them is the second challenge. Well, I've actually had Ion Instruct proactively performing analyses on my log files this whole time. Now I can quickly diagnose anything that's gone wrong in my development, plus I don't have to worry about token usage because it's all local. We can even take a look at our machine's resources. The models are loaded, and you can see 90 gigs of RAM being utilized by the GPU, truly showcasing the full power of the Surface RTX Spark. We were able to use 3 local models simultaneously unhindered while
Сколько?
going about our regular dev flow
Ну
without
да,
a
это
hitch.
ж
That's huge.
этот ARM. Нормально,
So
нормально.
I know you're going to love what the team's been working on. We hope it gives you a glimpse of what's possible on Windows today and where we're headed next. Thank you. Back to you, Satya.
Ну, то есть Microsoft прыгает
Yeah, that's
в
really
последний
the
вагон,
beginning
считай.
of this idea of unmetered intelligence, having
Вроде
those
как.
models and having the agents using the models work in parallel to what you may be doing along with the cloud as well. And that, I think, is what the platform enables as first class. Now let's move to the cloud. The driving
Облачное
equation for us
программирование.
remains the same, which is tokens per dollar per watt. How do we
Мощность равно
optimize around
токены.
this, right? So when we think about the
Это
systems
все в
problem,
деньги.
we think
То
about
есть надо
electrons
платить за
coming
токены,
on one
чтобы
end and tokens
пользоваться
on the other
агентом.
end. And how do we think about the systems optimization end to end? It starts with the data center design itself, right? The core compute, storage, network, all the accelerators that go into accelerating each of those components. How do you even think about the DC to DC connectivity and the networking, as well as the offload to something like the local compute, right? That's the sort of systems challenge. But before we even get into all of the systems and the technology and the innovation, perhaps the most important design criteria for us is how do we earn the permission from the communities in which we're building these data centers? And that's where these principles ground us and focus us. How do we
То есть
ensure
говорить
that
про
the DCs do not
про план
increase the
инфраструктуры в
electricity prices?
дата-центрах, то, что они вот
Making sure that we are replenishing all
делают в
our
данный
water
момент.
use, creating jobs in the local communities for the local residents, adding to the tax base, making sure we're strengthening the communities by investing in local training and the nonprofits in the area. Only when we live up to these principles, do the hard work around it, is when we earn the permission to go ahead and innovate and build. And we've been doing a lot of data center build-out. Today, Azure spans more than 500 data centers in 80 regions. It's the
Microsoft
most expansive, we have the
Azure
most expansive
дата-центры
hyperscaler footprint
более
out there.
500
And we've
и в
added
80
more data
регионах.
center capacity
регионах.
in the last 18 months than the first decade of Azure, just to put that in perspective. But more importantly, what we are building is also very different. In fact, the first 15 years
За последние 18
we
месяцев.
built out the commercial cloud infrastructure for a set of heterogeneous workloads that spanned the enterprise. But now when you look at what we're building, right, when you think about all the gigawatts that were going to come online, really they have 3 dominant workloads. There is training, there is inference, and then there is the agent runtime, right? These are 3 dominant workloads. And in fact, when you look at Fairwater, it was sort of our first AI super factory. It spanned 2 regions,
Фабрика искусственного
Georgia and
интеллекта.
Wisconsin. The entire system was designed from the ground up for AI, right? We worked, in fact, very closely with even NVIDIA on this, and it's a 2-story architecture that lets us essentially place racks, obviously in 3 dimensions, and pack the maximum number of GPUs densely.
Но NVIDIA об этом говорила, то, что строит тоже инфраструктуру для улиц, для автомобилей, фабрики искусственного интеллекта. В партнерстве с другими компаниями. Она это объявила на CES 2026, в начале этого года.
Well, minimizing all the loss, right, which is the conversion loss that happens from the grid to the silicon. So we basically sort of even took a new approach to it. And all of this also changes with the cooling system, right, and water. So in fact, the cooling loop is filled once, and the data center can operate effectively with 0 water consumption. In fact, the daily water usage over the course of an entire year is roughly equivalent to what a single restaurant would use, right? I mean, that's... And when it comes to the systems and the silicon, again, we have a lot of choice. We have first-party silicon, we have partner systems.
Мы имеем партнеров по работе с искусственным интеллектом NVIDIA, AMD, Intel. В данный момент про партнерство идет речь. AMD видеокарты.
We'll deploy it internationally later this year.
Maya 200.
30% improved tokens per dollar compared to sort of what's the leading GPU today. And we have validated it with 5.5, GPT-5.5, and we are going to use that to power Microsoft 365 Copilot.
На 30% быстрее, чем последнее поколение видеочипов.
The interesting thing now is it's no longer just about having an AI accelerator or a GPU. The CPU is really critical. In fact, the ratios may be even coming to 1:1. And that's why we are innovating with Cobalt. We're announcing the preview of Cobalt 200 VMs,
Cobalt
our
200.
next generation ARM-based CPU designed for both cloud-native and agent workloads today. So it's exciting to see
облачные чипы, облачные видеокарты. Ну, это видеочипы. Microsoft Azure.
Being optimized for these new workloads I talked about, right? These new agent workloads. So in fact, Cobalt delivers 50+% better performance.
Cobalt 200 абсолютный лидер на
But we
рынке.
started benchmarking them using the GitHub Copilot traces, these agentic traces, to see, because the call patterns are so different. And we're now seeing 33% lower latency for the agent calls, 14% faster speed, 23% higher throughput. So this is about the co-design of both the AI accelerator and the CPU for the agent. And of course, when you talk about AI workloads, you need scale, you need reliability.
Во всех процентных соотношениях он быстрее, чем какой-либо другой AI-чип.
And rebuilt how traffic across Azure moves to support AI workloads, which are fundamentally synchronous data parallel workloads, right? And so therefore they span tens and thousands of GPUs. And so you need to have them coherent. That's what the next frontier is for us to make sure we're able to keep scaling the network architecture.
Он сейчас про это говорит.
Inside the data center, it's also about connecting across the data
Тему
centers.
дата-центров поднял.
And every Fairwater data center, for example, is connected through our continent-spanning AI WAN.
Сетевая архитектура.
Fungible compute fabric.
Это подсоединено почти к каждому континенту на планете.
I would say deep understanding of systems. There's no better company than NVIDIA, and there's no better person than Jensen to talk about it. So I wanted to invite live from Taipei, Jensen,
NVIDIA, Microsoft. Подготовка Windows для агентов. Ну, то есть вот это прикольно.
Jensen, thank you so much for being at Build again. I know it's late for you in Taipei. I really appreciate you staying up. At the end, I've been looking at social and everything people have been talking about since your keynote over the weekend. And suddenly, this concept of unmetered intelligence right at the edge is so hot again. So maybe you want to talk a little bit. You have thought about this, talked about this, and now, of course, with RTX Spark really delivered, I think, what's a breakthrough system for AI to be much more ubiquitous. But maybe, Jensen, you can just share a little bit your vision around where you see this going.
Well, this all started about 3 years ago between a conversation between you and I. And we were talking about how we could build a new class of
Джейсон
PCs
Хуанг,
that's incredible
президент
for
NVIDIA.
designers and creators, and it would be incredible for artificial intelligence, and it would be one of these systems that has the processing capability, but also the software stack that's integrated into the world's design packages and creator packages, and of course all the things that we're doing with
Для
AI.
дизайнеров,
And
для
here we are,
креаторов.
3 years
Вот
later,
это
we built
все это
an
искусственный
incredible
интеллект,
new
эти
chip.
дата-центры,
And this
для
system
инфраструктуры
is supported
улиц,
by
фонарей,
all of this new
светофоров.
software that you created for Windows. And we now have the ability
Мы
to
сделали
have
чип для
essentially an autonomous
Windows,
agent running on the PC. Now, when you take a step back and you think about what
чтобы
does that
это было
mean,
доступно
for the 40 years
на
that,
всех
or some 30
компьютерах.
years we've been working together, we went from inventing DirectX together
Наконец-то NVIDIA
to
подумала о людях. Это
creating
самое, я
now
считаю,
this
что
incredible
одно из
computer
самых
that has
хороших
autonomous
сейчас
systems
по
running.
сравнению с CS
The PC
2026. Это,
evolved
небо
from
и земля.
being an incredible
CS
tool
меня
to
огорчило
now being
полностью,
a tool
поэтому
that's used
как бы,
autonomously by an
выступление
AI
NVIDIA
assistant.
именно.
And so the idea that I could be traveling and I'm on the phone and I could text my PC and ask my PC to get
Это
some
работает
coding done or some
автономно
idea that I have,
с
and it would fire up the
AI-ассистентом.
tools
То есть,
on the PC, and it would
объясняю на
make
нашем
the
языке.
modifications or the changes or the design that I told it
Кодить с
to
помощью
do, and it
агента
would
можно
iterate
на
with me
компьютере.
while I'm away from
Не
the
нужно
PC. My
подключаться
PC
даже к
became an
сети. Это
assistant.
локальная
While I'm sitting
модель.
there, of course, this PC would
То
be
есть
my
он
great
говорит
assistant
вот
as
об этом,
well.
что
And so this
можно
idea
кодить на
that the PC
компьютере,
evolved from
выбрать
a personal
агента, начать
computer to
работу,
a personal AI,
не
it's just
подключаясь к
really
интернету.
exciting. And to see it come to life, Satya, to see it come to life and actually doing that, so I'm super excited about
Ваш
it.
персональный
Spark,
компьютер,
you
персональный
mentioned earlier, has
AI
all this incredible capabilities,
ассистент.
a
Это
petaflop of
реально.
AI
Он
performance.
вот говорит,
It has a
если
petaflops
дословно.
of NVFP4, this numerical format that our two companies worked on together,
Но
that
это
allows us
победа, это
to
прикольно.
take advantage of this 128
Я
gigabytes of
хочу,
memory
чтобы
and fit maybe a
Apple
couple
в
of
этом году
100
сделала
billion
подобное.
parameter model. A couple 100
Я
billion
очень
parameter
надеюсь на
model
то, что
is state
Apple
of the art. And
как-то
so
вот
I
придет
think
к
the days
этому.
of having a really smart assistant running autonomously on
Но
the PC
по
is here.
логике
Yeah, no,
Apple,
it's so
если
awesome. And
думать,
in
да,
fact, I'm also excited about Windows coming
она
to the
сначала смотрит на
GB300.
другие,
And so
на
that's
других,
another thing that
другие
it's kind of like
сделают,
data
а они
center
потом
right on the
сделают.
desktop.
Я не
And it's
думаю,
so
что в этом
exciting.
году прям
But
они
talking about that
возьмут, ошпарятся
data
и
center
сразу
side,
сделают
obviously,
автономных
this
агентов в
entire
macOS.
thing got started when we built the first supercomputers
Ну, как бы,
together to train
я не
the
знаю,
GPT
насколько это вот
models,
реально,
and we've come
насколько
a
это
long
будет
way. In fact, even I was
эквивалентно
talking about
этому.
the Fairwater design. It is custom
Apple
built
хоть и в роли
essentially for
догоняющего, но
the
все
Grace
равно,
Blackwell era to be able to max
как они это
the data
реализуют,
center
это очень
design
интересно.
with the system design you had. And now, of course, we're validating Vera Rubin. We're very excited about it. Maybe you want to share a little bit about sort of what happens even on
Дата-центры
the
будут
cloud
поставлять
side with
агентов
how you're pushing
на
on
ваши
the systems
компьютеры,
innovation.
локальных агентов.
Well, our journey is incredible. We built the first AI supercomputer together. That was based on Ampere. Of course, Hopper was an incredible success. Those first two generations were focused on pre-training. Grace Blackwell came along, and all of the focus moved to post-training, reinforcement learning, which allowed us to have reasoning models. And these reasoning models, based on mixture of experts, were incredibly intelligent, energy efficient, but it requires giant systems.
Мы
And so we
сделали две
created
модели,
NV
Grace и
72,
Blackwell,
and the
для
entire
теста.
rack became one computer. We had evolved from one node to now one rack. Well, Microsoft deployed the largest number of Grace Blackwells in the world today. The fastest and the largest number of Grace Blackwells in the world. Fairwater is just a magnificent system to look at. It's just a miracle of engineering. It's just an incredible feat. It's completely liquid cooled. You mentioned something earlier that I'm very proud of as well, that it's closed looped, basically uses almost no water, and it's incredibly environmentally friendly. It's energy efficient. We're able to increase the token generation rate and reduce the cost of token generation by an order of magnitude, some 30 times over Hopper. So that was a huge achievement. Well, Vera Rubin was created for a world where these AIs are now agentic. And so where,
Вот
as Hopper
слушая
was great for
сейчас, друзья, я могу
pre-training,
сказать
Grace
одно.
Blackwell for training,
AI
post-training, and
захватывает
also
мир.
inference, Vera
Тихонечку,
Rubin is
полигонечку.
designed to run agents. It's agents, as you know, this computing pattern is exactly the same computing pattern we're going to run on the RTX Spark. It's exactly the same agentic system, except of course it's going to be much, much larger. We're going to process enormous number of them simultaneously. Many
RTX
of them
Spark.
are going to be from different customers and
Это
different
похожая
partners.
система
And
агент.
so the entire path, the entire coding path from storage, which is the long-term memory, the working memory, is encrypted. The data is encrypted in transit. The data is also encrypted in use. And so we're going to really
Он сказал,
innovate
что
in the area of
все
confidential
это
computing.
защищено.
And so this entire disaggregated, distributed computing
То, что вот
system, you
локальные
mentioned
агенты
CPUs,
работают прямо
Vera
с
is a
вашего жесткого
revolutionary
диска,
CPU
и это
designed
защищено.
for agents. You know, the past CPUs were designed for humans. And you know, we're just more patient than agents are. And agents want low latency, just as you've been working on as well. Vera was
Мы это
designed for
сделали
extremely
для
low
людей.
latency. And so Vera Rubin is just completely revolutionary. I can't wait to show it to everybody. You've already stood it up.
Yep.
Our two teams have been working very closely. You know, almost long before the chips taped out, long before the systems were brought up, our two teams were already completely aligned. And so the data centers were created for Vera Rubin. Vera Rubin is designed and integrated into your complete stack, into your networking, into your security. And so the moment that our systems were rolling off the lines, they were being stood up at Microsoft. So I'm incredibly excited about the collaboration.
Yeah, no, this speed of light execution between the teams is fantastic to see. And of course, all this is to power the ecosystem around us, right? I mean, you and I, having grown up with the PC, the server, and now with AI, have always thought about, ultimately, it's about creating the opportunity for every developer, every organization to build on the work that we do and the platforms we create. And speaking
Это
of that,
сделано для
there's a
каждого
lot of
разработчика,
software
каждой
that NVIDIA
организации.
builds that's all also coming. For example, we're going to have your models in Foundry, your tooling in Foundry. We're going to have, in fact, your software even help us with accelerating our workloads when it comes to even the data warehouse. We're going to obviously have stuff in Windows. Just talk a little bit about that broader vision of what does it mean
То есть
as an
Windows
opportunity, right?
позиционируется
Because everybody
сейчас как
talks about this
платформа
one
для
model or one piece of tech,
программирования,
but
для
it's about the
написания кода, для
broadest,
разработки чего бы то ни было.
opportunity for people to create value. Maybe you want to share a little bit about
Сейчас
that.
вот
Well,
смотрите,
we've
сейчас
been
меня
preparing for this
соблазнят,
moment.
я перейду
You
на
know, what
Windows.
happened in the last several months, we've been working for a decade and a
Шутка,
half
конечно,
together,
этого не сделаю.
getting ready for really what
Windows
happened in the
будет
last
как
several months. All
второй
of a
компьютер,
sudden,
может быть.
because of agentic systems, the convergence of these really great
И
models,
то,
AI
если
is now useful.
Windows, то на
If you just look
армию уже
at
покупать
GitHub,
устройство
the commits into GitHub
Microsoft.
is gone completely
Ну, то
parabolic.
есть я не
In the
хочу
last several
собирать
months,
компьютеры.
the
Я
number
лучше
of commits increased by a
готовое
factor of
куплю.
3. It's clear that agentic systems are useful, that
Если
it's doing
мне
productive
мне
work,
нужна винда, я
and
лучше куплю
also
готовое.
tokens are now profitable
Я
as a
что-то
result.
как-то уже
And
вырос с
so the
этого
amount of
состояния, когда я
demand for
собирал
compute
компьютеры.
between the usage of the AI and the
Я не
computation
знаю, я
that's
не хочу
necessary for
собирать.
agents, the compute demand has really gone through the roof. Well, one of the things that we've been doing together is making sure that all of the tools that the agents are going to use are fully accelerated. Fabric, for example, is now fully accelerated. We're accelerating data processing, SQL, Spark, semantic-based, vector-based, graph-based. We're going to make sure that all of the tools that are available on Azure are going to be
SQL,
fully
Spark,
GPU
Semantic.
accelerated because the agents are going to be impatient. The faster we
Графика
can get the
тоже
answers
присутствует.
back to the
Можно
agents, the
игры
faster they can
писать.
iterate, the faster we can generate tokens, which are ultimately what the developers, both of our customers, would like to do, is generate a lot of tokens that are really profitable, that are highly intelligent.
Thank you so much, Jensen, for the partnership and the leadership and the innovation that you bring to this entire ecosystem, and really thrilled to be working closely with you and the team and bring all this to the developers here and beyond, and look forward
Вы
to
знаете,
seeing what the
раньше была
next sort
война
of few months and the next
какие-то
year bring
за
in
какие-то
terms of the
технологии,
innovation that
какие-то
gets
фишки,
built on
какое-то
top of
что-то.
the platform. So thank you
Сейчас
again for
между
joining this late
компаниями
in night
война
from Taipei.
за искусственный интеллект,
Thank you
борьба
so
идет.
much, Satya, for your
Идет борьба за
partnership.
искусственный интеллект.
Thank you.
И то, что они сделали это для людей, вот это
So
хочется
far,
потрогать.
we've talked about the edge and the cloud. The current form factors, right? I mean, when I saw that Jensen picture from the weekend where he had all the desktops, I felt like, man, I'm back in the 90s, right? Because it was so cool to see the lineup of all the machines that I loved and I grew up with back yet again with new functionality, right? The same form factor, but unbelievable new functionality because of the onboard AI capability, right? So that's sort of what we've seen with the laptop, the desktop, and of course with the cloud. But it also, sets up that next question. If you have that capability, which is new function, and you can put it into existing form factors, can you even purpose build new form factors for the new function? Can you build a new platform even for the agent era? And that is the motivation behind Project Solara.
Мотивация сделать новую платформу для новых функций.
I wanted to invite Stevie on stage, but first
Проект
let's roll the
Solara.
video.
First, there's you. Then, everything in front of you. We get it.
Да ладно.
Noise, the weight of it all. And so we've been building something. A new chip-to-cloud platform for an agent-first world and for new agent-first devices. You come close, it's ready when you are. You speak, it understands you. What matters comes forward. Everything else
Стоп.
falls away. And when you want it to keep going, it keeps going. Your call. Sometimes it sits with you. Sometimes it goes with you. Sometimes it sees what you want it to see. It doesn't decide for you.
Я, кажется,
It
понял,
starts
что
the
это.
path and tries to clear the way when you need it to. And that's the idea. A whole ecosystem built to clear the way. So all that's left is where you need to go.
Это AI-устройство на базе Copilot, домашнее, на работе, дома использовать. Ух ты. Супер Copilot, типа.
I'm so excited to be here. It really
Вот
is great
это
to be back
уже
on this stage.
интересно,
Now, before I
друзья.
talk about those awesome new devices you just saw,
Новое
let me start
устройство.
with the why. Back at Build 2023, I talked about the outside AI application structure, where AI moves from operating within the application frame to operating globally, working across multiple apps and services to connect, coordinate, and maintain context across entire workflows, devices, and timescales. What if there were an ecosystem of devices specifically designed for that new type of application structure?
То есть
for
будут
those
выходить
types
такие
of agents,
устройства.
for that transformational
Ну,
interaction technology.
Яндекс Алиса у нас уже
That is
есть.
the impetus
Теперь у
behind
нас есть
Project
как
Solara.
умный помощник
But with
Copilot
so many possible forms,
в новом
which one do you
исполнении,
pick?
не в
What is
винде
the
даже,
next
а отдельно.
device? You see, the big aha for us is that it's not about choosing one specific form factor. It is about creating a system that extends your agent across a constellation of devices. The next
То есть
computer is
Copilot
not one
будет
device.
встраиваться в
It is
любые
all
вещи,
these
в любые
devices
устройства.
working together
Камеры,
as one
наушники,
system,
очки,
with agents showing
часы.
up closer to where and when
А,
you need them.
Copilot выходит
realize
за
this vision, two
пределы
challenges
Windows, за
immediately
пределы
show up. First, Many specialized form
программного
factors already
компонента
exist,
Windows.
but often rely on custom one-off apps and fragmented stacks that are difficult and expensive to build, deploy, and maintain. And second, across every industry, people and organizations are already building their own agents, deeply specialized and instrumented for their work. But the impact of those agents is constrained by how and where they can exist. Project Solera addresses both by giving organizations a way to extend their agents onto new, purpose-built, easy-to-manage
Устройство
form factors
внутри с
designed to
с
reach the nooks and
ИИ-агентами.
crannies where conventional computers either
Аплодисменты.
do not exist or are not optimal.
Наконец-то.
It's a turnkey solution for building unique agent-first devices enabled by three pillars.
Я, конечно, сниму еще потом видео,
It's
то есть я
enterprise-ready,
выскажусь.
enabled by the AOSP-based Microsoft
Будет
Device
видео у нас.
Ecosystem platform. Second, it has an agent-driven interaction model with just-in-time UI that adapts to the form factor. And third, it has extensibility so you can bring your own agents. And tying it all together is Azure, unifying the system across cloud and device. Okay, that's enough of that. Now let's talk about the devices. Today we're previewing two very broad categories. The first is stationary and the second is portable. The first device is designed for your desk and it's built on MediaTek silicon.
Это настольный
With
агент.
Hello for Business, just walking up to the
Настольное
device,
устройство с
security
агентами,
signs you
с
in, giving you direct
ИИ-агентами.
access
От
to your
MediaTek и
agents,
Microsoft.
just like Nathan's about to show you here. For the information worker, this means frictionless yet protected access to
Для
Microsoft
бизнеса,
365 Copilot grounded in WorkIQ.
да,
And
это
with a
для,
simple glance,
сейчас
it
для
surfaces
бизнеса.
what matters next in your workday, helping you think, plan, and even act by delegating tasks to your agents with a simple tap or just
Он
using
слышит,
your voice.
с ним можно голосом
Think of it
разговаривать.
as a dedicated, secured ambient device for work. It even supports experiences like handoff between devices, acting as a companion to your
Хендов
existing
поддерживает,
Windows
то
PC.
есть
Or it can even let you access your cloud PC through Windows 365 and a connected monitor. How cool is that?
мне проще сказать, ну хендов, да, продолжить
Now,
на
the
другом
second device
устройстве.
is portable.
Да.
It's reimagining a wearable that millions of
Второе
people
устройство
use
от
every
Qualcomm и
day, the
Microsoft.
Access Badge. Built using Qualcomm silicon for wearable, this digital badge is a lightweight form factor designed for agent interactions on the go. And then it's adaptable across a variety of verticals and workflows. All right, I have here an early prototype of the badge. And so, thanks. And using my fingerprint, I tap to unlock the device, and I have access now to all my agents in a secured manner. And would you look at that? I already have a task. And it says, gather content for your social media post for today. So why not just do it right now, right? So I'm going to hit record. And then now the device's camera is recording. I'm going to pan across. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to take your shots.
О, слушайте,
Thank you.
прикольно.
Copilot, find some good shots from this, clean them up, and then send them to me for me and my team to review. All right. And then there you have it. Now my agent's off, running through multiple tasks to actually clean this up and send them to me and the team. That's pretty cool. Thanks.
Прикольно. Да, у этого есть
Okay, I
смысл.
know it's a simple demo, but it's all agent-driven, and there are so many verticals, so many opportunities. I mean, for example, imagine in healthcare, from the moment you pick up the device, the right agent shapes the experience around the role and the workflow.
Если нужен
Helping
быстренько
with
искусственный
check-ins,
интеллект,
patient records, and critical
что-то проверить,
insights,
что-то перевести,
all through
что-то спросить, что-то...
enterprise-grade secure access. And with the built-in microphones, the nurse can start a hands-free voice-based documentation, including diarization and annotation. And
И
the
запись
side-facing
с
camera
заблокированным
can be used to
экраном.
verify and
Здорово.
document patient vitals, or even scanning
Сердцебиение,
medications and help verify workflows. You know, these are just a few
верификация.
examples of how this small, purpose-built wearable can bring intelligence directly into the flow of
Ну,
patient
медицина,
care,
я
helping
вот
nurses
сейчас сказал
access and
сердцебиение.
gather
В
and even
медицине
act on information while staying present with the patient. And while both the stationary and portable concept devices represent a specific expression of agent-first devices, their core reference hardware and software are designed to be highly flexible. I mean, just with a few changes, loading a different agent, adjusting the shape, the screen size, the sensors, or even input methods, the same foundation, the same software can be adapted for many verticals and workflows, such as retail, industrial, hospitality, financial service, legal, and so forth. I mean, that is the power of the platform, that flexibility. So whatever your
Другими
scenario, there are
словами, Microsoft
thousands of
начинает
untapped
вытаскивать
opportunities to bring
Copilot
agent workflows into
из
places where
Windows
computing
во
has not
внешний мир,
naturally fit before.
встраивать его в устройство.
And while this is an early look, we're really excited that AccuWeather, Best Buy, CVS Health, Levi's, Target, and others are working towards exploring how specialized agents and devices can improve their workflows. This is the broader opportunity for the ecosystem. Agents moving outside the app and taking shape in devices designed
Мы
for a
делаем
specific
это
scenario, a specific customer,
за пределами
in a
приложения
specific
Copilot.
place. And for all of you,
Это
this is the
экосистема
moment to imagine where your agents should live,
за пределами
what form
Windows.
they should take, and what new work they can unlock. Last week, Satya sat down with Cristiano Amon from Qualcomm to
Ну, это
discuss the
здорово.
future.
Это
Let's roll
здорово.
the video.
Cristiano, it's so wonderful having you here at Device Lab and to talk about these new reference designs.
Very happy to be here. I have been to this Device Lab a lot recently.
You know, one of the things that you and I have chatted for a while is how there's a real platform shift. We're moving from building operating systems, devices for apps to agents. You want to talk a little bit about how you see this?
Yeah, absolutely. And every generation of technology transition was in a shift. And I think this one seems to be a very big one. Agents really changes the whole nature of the device in itself, starting with the fact that, you know, if the AI understand the world the way we understand it, it's going to be closer to our senses. It's going to be closer to our eyes, to our mouth, to our ears. It's going to be things that we wear. And it's changing the nature of the computing. I think you need a computing that is now geared towards real-time context and from silicon to cloud.
I mean, this is sort of one of the reference designs we have, which I love. There's stuff happening at the edge here on this device. There's things on the cloud. You want to talk a little bit about the core systems and silicon implications for such a new ecosystem?
You need a very power efficient CPU. The whole silicon is designed for you to have a cloud native experience. And then you have a lot of sensors.
Right.
A lot of sensors for context. It's a much more personalized and bespoke experience than an app in
Персональное
itself.
устройство,
And I think that's changing the
имеющее
nature of
достаточно
devices. And
сенсоров,
even
чтобы понимать
the
контекст.
definition of a wearable platform is changing in itself.
Это
And you start to see
персонально.
those incredible new form factors.
That computing platform, one of the things that you and I have talked a lot about is how do you build it such that there is an open ecosystem, right? Because it's not about one agent.
Ну,
It's
как вы
about
построили
any
открытую
This is what
экосистему?
makes it
Как вы это
very,
сделали,
very
чтобы это использовать?
interesting and exciting. Because the smartphone today is at the center of your digital life, the job of those devices today is to be extending the
Смартфон — центр
functionality of the
твоей
smartphone.
жизни,
And
твоей
because of that, you
цифровой
actually
жизни.
saw that many of those platforms became vertical. It was a natural thing to have
Твоя
a
жизнь,
vertical
твоя
platform from
работа
the same company because the phone
в
was at the
этом
center. That changes
устройстве
dramatically
Right.
when you think about
вертикальном.
agents. And agents becomes the center of your digital experience. And I think the industry is going to be looking for an
Но это и на
open
телефонах потом
horizontal
будет, я
platform that
понимаю.
actually enable the agents to be interacting with the best possible device for different applications. And I think that's what's exciting.
And we want to make it possible for anybody who is thinking of an agentic system to not just be bound to current devices, but to imagine that there
Мне
can be
кажется еще,
many,
что
many
Microsoft
devices that
выпустит
carry that
таки свой
intelligence in
смартфон
different contexts. And so that's the
потом,
open ecosystem we want to build
попозже,
together. And again, it's so
с
great to be partnered
ИИ-агентами
with
на
you to get
борту.
this started.
То
That's
есть это
awesome.
будет
We're
что-то
very
такое
proud of
вот
this partnership, and that's just the beginning.
интересненькое.
Thank you very much, Stevie and Cristiano. We are very excited about Project Solara. It's sort of a new platform, but perhaps more importantly, it's a set of new platform rules that don't in some sense,
Новая
hem in
платформа,
what you
новые
can
правила.
imagine, the type of form factors, where your agents live. I think always whenever these new platforms have come, you get to rewrite even the rules of how new platforms operate. And that's what we are trying to get done with Project Solara, so that you as developers and
Project Solara
enterprises
позволяет
have the
создавать эти
flexibility
платформы.
to imagine the form factors
Новые
that you want
форм-факторы,
and
новые
have your agents be
устройства.
ubiquitous. Now let's go up the stack to the next layer. We are building a new intelligence layer, bringing together the models, context, as well as the tools. It of course starts with model choice. Every
11 тысяч,
customer,
более 11
every
тысяч
developer
моделей,
is going to choose the right
среди
model
них
for the right
Cloud,
task and their eval mix, latency
MAI,
budget, even COGS budgets. And Foundry today has over 11,000
OpenAI,
models. It's the largest model catalog out there, from OpenAI to Anthropic, and of course even MAI models. And just last week, we brought the OpenAI real-time voice models
Anthropic,
along with
OpenAI.
Claude Opus 4.8 to
Тут
Foundry.
поддержка
So we're
есть.
continuing to bring all these frontier models. The consideration, though, about the models is becoming now increasingly key. In fact, from the last developer conference to now, when you're building any agentic system, having this context really shaped right is becoming
Объединенная
super important. And in fact, it starts
платформа
right at the
Microsoft
data tier,
Fabric.
right? The data estate to date has been built for applications that support
Azure датабазы, то есть датабазы
now you
именно,
have to change and build
базы
them
данных.
for agents, which again have very different call patterns even to the data
Стратегические
tier.
партнеры
Agents are
Oracle,
continuously
я не
storing,
успел посмотреть, сейчас
retrieving,
покажут.
reasoning, acting and learning, right? That's sort of what's happening in a continuous loop. And you see that today. Agents are using things like Cosmos DB for their memory. In fact,
Azure
ChatGPT
Databricks,
does, Azure Search
Snowflake,
is used for retrieval of indices and
партнеры.
embeddings. Fabric IQ for the semantic models and the ontologies. It's kind of the business logic tier effectively for agents. And also you have Fabric real-time intelligence. for all
Новое
the
устройство,
observability
новую
phase,
платформу,
which now
потом для
brings me
Windows агентов,
to a
все
very
людям.
exciting new service.
В этом году мне
Horizon DB,
Microsoft
which
нравится.
is our fully managed PostgreSQL service on Azure. Really thrilled to have this. I mean, one of the things we wanted to make sure is we built ground up a Postgres managed service which was for high availability, scale out. It's zone redundant
Horizon
with
DB,
automated
Verizon DB
failover,
имеет свой сервер
128 terabytes of
с этого
storage per
момента.
cluster, 15 read replicas. I mean, the read-heavy workloads you can scale with this managed service. And in our internal testing, we're seeing something like, Horizon is delivering 3x throughput compared to any self-managed PostgreSQL setup. So it's super critical when you think about the scale you need. The other data workload we're also changing pretty dramatically is the data warehouse. In a world where agents are constantly querying data, the data warehouse effectively becomes a pretty mission critical, right? I mean, it's one thing to have it be mission critical for users, but when agents need the analysis done on the fly, bringing GPU acceleration to Fabric is super key, and we are seeing 7x performance gain. So it's really thrilling to see that AI acceleration. So if you sort of have the data tier, the layer above this is the IQ layer that we are building that brings together essentially the model capabilities along with the data, right? So you kind of mix the data and the model capabilities so that you can deliver that right context to unlock intelligence, right? That's where, in fact, if you want, when people talk about token efficiency, this is perhaps the most important consideration, right? If you structure the context right and feed the
Структура
model,
контекста.
then you will, by definition, going to be so much more token efficient. The first domain is the web. Web grounding
Web
is so
Intelligence
important.
для
You need that
агентов,
fresh,
для эры
high-quality,
агентов.
fast web data. And that's why we're really,
Так,
really
давайте
excited
поймем,
to announce
что
today
он
Web
имеет в виду.
IQ.
Web IQ. Ого!
And Web
Web
IQ
IQ.
is built on our global
Так.
infrastructure that's already serving over 1 billion users, but fundamentally
Лучшие
re-architected for the LLM and the
ответы.
agentic workflow. It's model agnostic, it's MCP native, plugs right into any agent runtime. It has web, it has news, images, video, so agents can ground responses in
Видео,
fresh,
картинки,
verifiable
новости.
content.
Просто
Web IQ
поиск.
leads across all of the 3 key criteria, right? It's best in class in quality, it's best in class in speed, as well as in cost. So we're very, very thrilled about Web IQ being in the developers' hands as you build out agentic systems. Of course, we're not stopping
Интересно,
there.
интересно.
Beyond the web, every developer wants to be able to ground their agents on what's the most valuable data across the enterprise. And so we are
То
bringing
есть агенты
together
работать могут
Foundry,
как в
Fabric,
веб,
and
так и на
Microsoft 365 as
устройстве.
this unified IQ layer, right? It's a continuously updated understanding of your
Улучшение
organization.
памяти агентов
Show
IQ.
you all of this rich
Они становятся
IQ
умнее.
in action, building
Умнее
real-life
наравне
agents. Here is
с
Elijah.
человеком
Elijah,
вроде
take
как.
it away.
Agents are only as good as the context we give them. Microsoft
Лучше
IQ
понимает
unifies
контекст
enterprise
агента теперь.
intelligence for every organization. I'm here at a power utilities control center, and we'll start by running a long-running agent. This agent is going to help us assess the current grid operations incident and produce a brief for us so we can respond accordingly. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kick that off. And while that runs, let me show you how we got here with context from Microsoft IQ. We built our agent in Microsoft Foundry. It's connected to various tools.
Copilot,
and
OneDrive.
it's also wired to a Foundry IQ knowledge base, a single grounded source that packages our documents, operational data, and people into context the agent can reason over. After building the agent in Foundry, we published it to Microsoft 365 for the whole team. Let's go see it in action. Now, here in M365, I will start with a question about current events that an ungrounded LLM wouldn't be able to answer. I'm going to ask about current electricity prices in SF. For this, our agent pulls in the first IQ in our toolbox, Web IQ, search built for the AI era. Web IQ delivers industry-leading quality, velocity, and efficiency. Web IQ constantly indexes fresh official sources from across the web, and additionally, Web IQ does a great job with semantic documents. And here we can see Web IQ gave us our answer grounded in reality. Now, not only can we deploy our agent here in M365, but we can also embed it in our custom apps. Let's head back to the control center. Let's see how we handled a previous incident. So after using Web IQ to gather external info, we asked for details about our potentially at-risk substations. The real power of Microsoft IQ comes when we combine that external knowledge with our own internal enterprise context. For this information, our agent pulls in the next layer of Microsoft IQ, Fabric IQ. Here is Brightline's grid represented as a fabric ontology, an operational model of the live grid. And critically, we didn't build this from scratch. Fabric takes the Power BI semantic models used by millions of customers today
Слушайте,
and
здорово.
lets teams extend them into rich ontologies that help run the business.
Теперь искусственный
This model,
интеллект стал
yes,
умнее и
this model is
понимает,
coupled with live
еще лучше
telemetry,
понимает
so it reflects
контекст
the
наравне
real
с
operational
человеком.
state of the grid minute by minute. This is what Microsoft IQ means by enterprise intelligence.
И работает это в браузере, в веб-версии.
Not data scattered across disparate systems,
Слушайте.
but a single living model of the business that an agent can reason over. Now, turning back to our agent, we can see that it gave us a table of our most exposed substations. That's the agent querying the ontology you just saw. Now, the agent has access to both the outside world and our grid. The last piece is the one that turns a situation into a response, our policies and our people. By asking, what are the steps to respond to a substation trip, we activate the final layer of Microsoft IQ, Work IQ. This is Brightline's response procedure in SharePoint. It's the playbook the team actually reaches for when something goes wrong. And the important thing is, the agent isn't working from a stale upload or copied snapshot. It's answering from the same source the team maintains
Снапшот,
day to
копию
day.
снапшота делает.
When the
Смысл?
procedure changes, the answer changes with it. No re-uploads, no prompt rebuilds, and no stale versions. And critically, this is your knowledge. The assets you create stay with you, no matter what model or agent is reasoning over them. Now, if we return to our agent, we can see the proper way to respond to this issue. Not a generic recommendation, but our playbook applied to this incident. Now, we just saw one situation, 3 questions, and 1 connected answer. Now let's go check back in on our long-running agent. And, let's just check the backup really quick. Moment of truth. And, boom. Our task finished.
Прикольно.
Here we
Быстрый
can see
вход.
every step the agent took. First, beginning with Web IQ, connecting
Быстрый
it to the
вход,
outside world.
и все то, что вы делали с агентами, оно все сохраняется в
Anchoring it in the
историю.
real state of our operations. And third,
Все
Work
операции,
IQ, grounding it
все
in
то,
our people and
что...
procedures. I triggered this
Да,
manually,
этот,
but with Foundry
как оно,
routines, this can
таймлайн
run on a
запросов.
schedule, turning a one-off
И
response
все это
into continuous
сохраняется у вас.
proactive execution. And if we look closely, we can see it even use the power of Work IQ to alert me directly about the incident. And if we go ahead and check Teams, it sent me an incident brief notifying me of the situation.
Посты, отправить пост, там
That's the
что-то
power of
запланировать,
Microsoft
да.
IQ. When a crisis hits, the team doesn't
И
chase
можете
answers
найти
across a
вот это
dozen systems.
в
They ask a
вашем
question and get a
ассистенте.
response grounded in the world, their operations, and their people, all in one place they can trust. Back to you, Satya.
Класс. Слушай.
All right.
Еще секунда, я с
Roger.
макбука ухожу.
And now,
Ребята.
you know, let's sort of move up from this context model
В
layer,
пользу
to
Windows
deploying
AI
these
и вот
agents
всех
and thinking
этих
about the runtime.
фишек.
And you know, when you're building a first-class agentic
Они
system,
вот
you
просто
need a
стоят на
first-class
сцене и
agent
меня
runtime and a
соблазняют.
platform that we are going to ship both with Windows as well as part of Foundry in Azure. We want Windows to be a fantastic place to run and scale agents. And agents effectively are a new execution environment, right? It's a new paradigm even. They
Windows — это лучшая платформа для использования
they
агентов.
generate and run code dynamically. They take actions across files and devices as well as across the network. Obviously, there's a lot of power in it, right? The fact that it can generate code.
Также для программирования, генерировать код,
agent that's
писать программы, писать
but
игры,
obviously it
писать
creates new
то есть
risk. And that's
с
why
помощью Windows.
today we're introducing Microsoft Execution Containers, or MXC. MXC is a new policy layer that lets Windows apply isolation and containment using
Контейнер для написания кода, контейнер приложения и контейнер виртуальной машины, чтобы это приложение можно было посмотреть.
You can have process-level isolation for lightweight agent actions. You can have session-level isolation for user separation. So Windows and Linux virtual machines, in fact, are also great, including WSL, for much stronger boundaries. And in fact, if you want full isolation and containment, Windows 365 for agents for maximum isolation in a separate managed environment.
И контейнеры изолированы.
You can pick the right containment option for the workload, and Windows will enforce it via MXC. And so I think this becomes pretty critical as you think about deploying agents at scale on your Windows desktop.
Microsoft
We want to ensure
365.
containment is enforced, of course, regardless of who builds the agent, right? So this is why you want to bake it into the operating system. To that end, we are working with many partners to ensure that containment, we are building support real developer workloads out there and also addresses the needs. In fact, NVIDIA is bringing
Мы делаем это с
OpenShell to
партнерами.
Windows to securely execute autonomous AI agents. And today, we are really thrilled to announce that OpenClaw runs on Windows leveraging MXC.
OpenClaw
Yeah, we are very
на
deeply
Windows.
engaged with the team to make OpenClaw run super well on Windows. And so let me hand it over to my colleagues Scott and Samantha to show you OpenClaw on Windows. Scott,
Да.
Samantha.
Hey, friends. You know, OpenClaw came out in November of last year, and it took the world by storm. And for the last several months, I've been using my OpenClaw to stay on top of my health. My claw can help me manage my blood sugar, and it gives me even proactive notifications via heartbeat. I've got mine triaging my personal email, it's doing my GitHub issues and tracking packages, and it even buys me movie tickets. So Samantha, what are you using your claw for?
That's cool, Scott. I turned my OpenClaw agent into my triathlon coach. I'm nowhere near ready for my race in September, but Coach Claude developed a work-back plan for me and is using my Strava data to notify me on how I'm progressing and to keep
Это
me
учитель по
accountable when I'm
триатлону. Она
slacking.
использует
Now, we've
OpenClaw
both
для
found
своей
our claws to
работы.
be super useful, and that's why we're working closely with OpenClaw to make them successful and even more successful on Windows. We've been collaborating in the open on GitHub to bring you all an OpenClaw Windows companion app. It's going to help you set up your own claws or connect to existing ones, whether they're hosted in Windows or in WSL. And the Windows companion, we're going to sandbox the OpenClaw tool calls to keep you and your system safe.
Yeah, you'll see the OpenClaw Windows Companion app running right now in the background. Go ahead and right-click on it, Scott.
All right.
That looks awesome. You'll notice immediately it looks like a native Windows app because it is. It's written in WinUI 3. It's got all kinds of information about my gateway, other machines that are participating in my claw, my sessions, and my usage. I've also got quick access to things like chat, Canvas, the main dashboard, and more. Let's jump into companion settings. Within the app, we've got full chat support with tool calling. And you'll notice down here in the corner, we've got lots of permissions options along with our sandbox configuration.
Now, this sandbox is really interesting because this is using MXC, the Microsoft Execution Containers, and for this, we're going to be using process isolation. Now, newer versions of Windows are going to have even more containment options, so you're going to want to keep an eye out for more news with MXC in the future. Now, I can see that I've got one-click security option settings, but Samantha, talk to me about custom folders.
Yeah, you've got full support about what files and folders you want OpenClaw to have access to, and really granular security
Вы можете
features like
разрешить
clipboard access
OpenClaw
or talking to the internet itself.
читать ваши
Now,
файлы,
I've
папки,
given it read access to your desktop folder.
либо читать, либо
OpenClaw
вот
already has
изменять.
a rich safety
Full
layer,
access
and
это
that
будет,
layer is
вы
only
можете, он
augmented
может
more by
изменять, что-то
appropriate
удалять,
containment
что-то
that can be
перемещать
managed by
по
me
вашему
or
запросу.
policies applied by IT. Now, for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to do something really scary and ask OpenClaw
Короче,
to delete all
Microsoft
the files on your
коллабится с
desktop.
другими
That's cool, because I have a nice clean desktop.
компаниями и разработчиками и делает будущее. Просто тупо Microsoft делает будущее. Это никак по-другому назвать не могу.
So disrespectful. I know where everything is. Just don't touch my stuff. I know where they are. You know, Sam, I need to make sure that you're clear that a messy desktop is an organized mind. I'm pretty sure that that's the quote, right? So what we've done is we've asked OpenClaw to delete those files from the Windows node, and the only thing that is going to keep it from happening is MXC, because we've turned off all
Он
of the many
спрашивает
layers
выполнить
that
команду
OpenClaw offers.
XSDL
Our IT, in this case,
user
Samantha,
Scott.
has set it to read-only. So it's trying to go and delete all of those files. We can actually see the different attempts where it's going and deleting, and then checking the directory, and then deleting again, because it's very persistent. It wants these files gone, and I want them to stay. Nope. The read-only sandbox is there. 94 JPEGs are still on the desktop. Absolutely. My desktop
Он говорит,
icons are
что
safe
у
from
меня
Samantha's
права
reign of
только
terror.
для чтения, я не могу удалять.
Oh my goodness, so bad.
Today we've seen security sandboxing, WinUI 3, and open source brought together all in this alpha release of a Windows companion app. We think this app is a great opportunity to showcase OpenClaw on Windows, and it's only going to get better in the coming
Сделайте
months.
для Mac
That is
такую
right. And by
штуку,
the way,
пожалуйста.
I want to note
Я
that we're
вас
doing all this
умоляю.
development work on this calm Windows development machine with all the tools that I love, like WSL, containers, and containment. And I've even got GitHub Copilot with multi-model support ready to go. Now, this is literally how the team and I have been working on the OpenClaw app on GitHub. Now, people might wonder how all of this came together. Turns out that over the holidays, I got a DM from this random guy on the internet, and it took me a couple of days to get back to him. And then when I did, we just had this kind of cool idea that maybe he should come to Microsoft Build. Now, I think there's one more person that we all want to thank for bringing the next generation of agents to world. Everybody put your hands together for the Claw Father himself, Peter Steinberger.
Классно.
Ja. Samantha, stop
Надо
showing off my
записать.
secret DMs.
Меня это...
I'm so excited to see OpenClaw native on Windows. You know, watching a claw try to delete all your desktop file and just fail made me really happy. Because 6 months ago, that totally would have worked. You know, I built OpenClaw to have access to everything. You know, my files, my machines, my chats, always on and fully open source. That's what makes it so powerful. And that's what also makes companies a bit nervous. You know, what I kept hearing was, Peter, I love my claw. Can I use this at work? And that's what we spent the last few months on, with Microsoft, GitHub, OpenAI, NVIDIA, just to name a few. We added observability. We added auto mode for permissions. We changed how access works. It's not all or nothing anymore. You can pick which folder should be read-only, which one should be write or hidden. So here's the news. You can totally run OpenClaw inside your company now. And we even made the harness itself a plugin. You can bring your own. Copilot, Codex, whatever you already trust, and your rules come right with it. And then you put
OpenClaw можно
OpenClaw
использовать в
on
вашей
top of it. You get
организации, в вашей
persistent memory,
компании,
heartbeats,
как любой
and you
другой
get a claw
агент.
right inside Slack
Copilot,
or Teams.
Codex, Cloud.
It's been really exciting
То есть вот
to see OpenClaw grow into something much bigger, a global movement and a community.
Если честно, я про этого
And I started
агента
the
слышу
OpenClaw
впервые,
Foundation,
ребят.
a real non-profit. So it
Вот
stays open
сегодня
and
узнал.
neutral.
Будем,
Any
блин,
model,
смотреть,
any
интересно.
operating system. Because we are entering a new era of building with agents. More capability for the people who don't code, and more power for those who do. And we get to do this. We get to build it together in the open. So my task is simple. Come build with us. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much to Peter. Thank you to Samantha. Thank you to the Companion App team for their hard work. Thank you to the OpenClaw community for giving everyone here a crustacean of their own. And as we walk out, I want to
Нет,
remind you that
классно,
that's the
ребят,
first time you've
классно.
ever seen OpenClaw running on a
Я
Surface
обязательно
Laptop
это
Ultra.
посмотрю, но, блин,
Bye.
придется винду на параллельку ставить, что ли?
All right,
Чтобы
thank you so
посмотреть, как
much,
работает.
Samantha,
Хотя, ну,
Scott,
вряд ли он
and
будет
Peter.
работать
It's so wonderful
в таком
to see
ключе, потому
OpenClaw
что они
come to
специальное устройство
Windows,
для этого представили.
and have all of that
Хотя, может
capability
быть,
in terms
агенты
of
же
the
сейчас
security
работают
and
на
that
обычных
comfort to be able
компьютерах.
to have these long-running agents and
Отдельное
unlimited
приложение
intelligence
агентов
come together.
имеется в виду.
So now let's move from the Windows side on the edge to the cloud with Foundry. And we are building Foundry into this full application platform for the agent era, right?
Сколько уже презентаций, ребята,
every
идет? Сейчас
era
посмотрим.
of the platform shift. When we moved to the cloud, we had the cloud native
Уже
app stack, and
час.
now we have the agent native app stack in Foundry. We're particularly excited
У
about
нас
the
стрим.
Foundry hosted agent
Времени не видно. Надо в ОБС смотреть. Ладно, потом. Это очень интересно. Я прям вдохновился, чтобы на винду перейти, на армовую винду. Что они делают? А я только к маку привык. От винды отвык, придется обратно возвращаться. Но они реально делают будущее. Просто вот. Наши компьютеры устарели. Просто все, что мы имеем, можно продать, купить новое. Партнерство с Fireworks AI.
To build the next generation of these agentic applications with all the enterprise rails that
Для создания приложений.
as well as the governance Foundry has. So really excited about that partnership.
Генеративные агенты, очень много там, я вот вижу.
And so now that brings us to the tools.
Это модели.
GitHub itself is at the heart of all this.
Генеративные модели.
In fact, Jensen spoke to this. The GitHub is not just about the code repo. It's becoming the control plane. For all the agents, and nearly everything we measure on GitHub, whether it's repo creation, activity, API usage, actions, all of them are growing faster because of these agentic workflows. This new scale.
Так, у нас есть комментарии в чате, потому что меня сейчас очень... Привет, я на трансляции. Коля, спасибо большое. Продолжаем смотреть. Я просто сейчас посмотрел комментарии. Я не вижу ваших комментариев. Надо мне как-то открыть. Ну вот я с телефона буду читать. Спасибо, Коля, что присутствуешь. Microsoft сейчас реально будущее делает. То есть без страха, упрека и задней мысли говорю. Я-то должен относиться ко всему нейтрально, но... Так, где у нас стрим? Ай, на паузу поставился. Вот, так что, ну, как бы, мне это нравится, то, что они сейчас делают. Я жду подобное от Apple. Но надежда всегда умирает последней, я не знаю. О, GitHub Copilot. Приложение отдельно. Можно будет публиковать, storage. Место.
Is an agent-first SDK that connects your agents to a backend as a service, and we are bringing this to everywhere you build. That's why I'm again super excited about Rayfin and the partnership with Replit. You can now build apps in Replit while the
О, и Replit добавили. Кстати, остановись уже, все, хватит. Ты меня уже соблазнил. Я уже все, я уже готов. Как разработчик, я уже готов. Меня нет. Меня легко соблазнить чем-то хорошим.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be amongst my fellow devs today. This has been a long day. Fix your shoulders, sit back, you're ready. I see a lot of you sitting up. Great. I know you're drinking from the fire hose of information today, so I want you to go into the next few minutes thinking, what can I try out on my laptop later today? So as Satya said, we're going to show you Rayfin, but first, I can't wait to show you the new GitHub Copilot app. This app is your home base for development and operations on your computer, and we think you're going to love it. So let me show you around. When you open up the app from the start, you see this home screen here, where you can kick off a new agentic coding session. But also, before I get into the serious stuff, you can drag Mona around, and there's a game. Look, It's so fun.
Вот, даже игру
Okay, I'm
добавили.
not very good at it, so let's just get back to, you can kick off a new agentic coding session. So I started off one a little bit earlier
Хотела
here,
поиграть.
and
Я,
it gave me
короче,
a
ну,
review of a
плохо
bunch of
играю.
release
Давайте
blockers. Which
вернемся
one should I fix?
к
Call it out.
агентам.
8, 3, the critical ones. You know what? Why don't we just do
Ошибочки.
all of them? Let's go.
Прям в
This app will
репозитории.
now kick
Прямо
off
в
a separate
репозитории
session for
можно
every
посмотреть
single
ошибки
issue here.
кода и
I don't
исправить их.
have to worry about stashing or coding complex or anything because the app takes care of that with Git work trees. Git work trees are isolated environments for each session that you run, so your agents can work in parallel without stepping on each other. But you still have to merge
И
them,
кодить
right?
прямо в
So,
репозитории.
Copilot
Не
has
на
your back there
компьютере
too. If
локально
I head
держать
over,
проект,
not to
а
this one,
прямо
but
вот.
to this issue here, I can run agent merge. And when I enable agent merge, Copilot will
И
continuously
деплоить
babysit
прям
this PR
туда.
through CI checks, code review, and merge conflicts. Okay, let me keep showing you around while those are still running. Now, if I head over to my work, I can see a focused view of all of my activity and just projects loaded in the app, issues and PRs, everything here. And then under automations, I have a bunch of reusable sessions and workflows that can run
Автоматизация.
locally or on the cloud. You see there's issue poetry there. That is real, and that is load bearing. Okay, and now under sessions, like I briefly showed earlier, these are sessions. If I want to add a new repository, I can click that button here, and it can pull from a local repo or from a GitHub repository. And then if I were to just add one, I can add a session in PocketCal. This is an open source repo. I can start a session anywhere, and it just loads it. I don't have to clone. I don't have to pull. It just works. Now, when I look at a session within this repository, let me look at this other one over here. I get an integrated browser, there's a terminal, I can see the chat, it's all loading. I can even toggle light mode and dark mode in here. And there's also this great button, pick and polish, where if I click that, I can pick and polish anything in this app, and it adds it to the chat, and I can say, hey, I want you to add reordering to this list, and it'll just work, all living in there. I have access to all the most popular models via my single GitHub Copilot subscription, including those from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. You can see all of them in our model picker. And having model choice is great. Not only can you pick the right model for the task, but for
И
bigger
модели
features,
есть
Copilot can
разные.
request a rubber duck review. So in
OpenAI,
this section
Cloud,
here, for example, I was using GPT
Google
5.5,
Gemini.
but if I scroll up, it
Прям
actually
внутри.
requested one from Claude Opus 4.8. All models
Короче,
have
это
blind spots.
все, это
And the power of
победа.
the Copilot multi-model approach means that I can catch them earlier. And this is all very cool. But working with AI in 2026 should be more than just chat. You just saw me scrolling that. There's so many words here. So today, I'm very excited to show you the concept of a canvas. I'm going to open one right there. The canvas is how an agent can build a custom UI to communicate with you.
Даже
What
Canvas
if
есть,
your
чтобы
AI could
посмотреть
see?
на интерфейс
Everyone say,
программ.
demo gods bless us. Okay, let's see if it works. Here is a fun canvas where, if I get the camera going, okay, the agent shows your PRs down here, and I can toggle it with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let's approve it. Hey, it's so fun.
Класс.
And they could go so much deeper if
Прикольно.
you want. This is just the beginning of what you can do. So again, I kicked off a bunch of different sessions earlier. This is a Signal Box app. It's 100% agent built. It's containerized with a database backend. Would you be able to deploy this to your enterprise with no questions asked? Be honest. No, yes, exactly, no. But you can with Rayfin. And that is very, very exciting. Let me open up a new terminal over here. All I have to do is type Rayfin up. And then, demo gods bless us, come on. It will maybe deploy. Blammo, it's happening, yes. And all hosted on Microsoft Fabric. Okay, I know that's a lot, With Rayfin, your agents get a complete enterprise backend, so you can deploy with
Прикольно.
confidence in the way that's best for you. But
Да,
this is the key thing to remember.
друзья.
This app is not just another session manager. Yes, it is. It manages a lot of sessions, but session managers just make it easy to create work. But GitHub Copilot helps you to finish it. Thank you so much. Happy Pride. Back to you, Satya.
Круто.
All right. Now we're back to IDEs that have UI. That's sort of so cool. It sort of comes a full circle. Now let's talk about how you can observe, govern, and secure these agents. Agent 365 is the agent control plane. Agent requires their own identities, access controls, even when they're working on your behalf, right? You just want that work on behalf.
Ну, конечно, как же без этого?
So we extended Entra. Agents need real-time defense, so we extended Defender. Agents require this always-on data protections and compliance, so we extended Purview. And these agents can be hosted anywhere. They can be on AWS, GCP,
Как же без этого?
not just
Надо
on Azure,
представить свой
or built
агент.
with any framework.
Агент
And
365.
today we're announcing a number of updates, including the GA of Agent 365 SDK, and we're expanding
SDK
it to
дали,
your
ну
local
да.
agents,
Ожидаемо
running on
было,
Windows and
ожидаемо.
elsewhere, and the clause you just saw earlier.
Уже
And
все
let us take a
выходили,
look
GitHub,
at how
Copilot,
all
это
of Agent
туда,
365 composes.
Open
Over to
Cloud,
you, Amanda.
все на Windows. А Microsoft-то не могла пройти, просто промолчать.
Everyone is
Они
building
представили своего
agents,
агента.
but that's not the hard part anymore. The hard part is integrating them into your business and governing them at scale. Today, I'll show you how Foundry makes this easy. Let's start locally. I've already built a LangGraph agent, and now I'll show you the value Foundry adds. First, tools. Agents need tools to get work done, and with Foundry Toolbox, I just add my tools once, and any agent can consume them through a single MCP endpoint. And because tools live centrally, that means governance does as well. I've applied a guardrail which blocks PII from leaking into tool calls and tool responses, and all I have to do is apply this once, and all my agents are protected. Now, let's make this agent enterprise ready. To deploy this agent to Foundry, all I have to do is add this one block of code, and then I push my changes, and GitHub Actions takes it from there. Once deployed, I can actually use this agent in the same Foundry extension I showed you earlier, and let's now test it out. I'm asking it to track a few open items from a stand-up I had earlier today, and what's actually happening right now is Foundry is spinning up a dedicated micro VM just for this session. And the session even gets its own persistent file system. What you're going to see in a minute here is if I go to the Files tab to track the open items, the agents actually write into a file. Pretty cool, right?
Он может найти
Foundry now
эти,
has server-side traces
как их
and built-in
называют,
evals to
коммиты,
show me exactly what happened on every
деплои.
run. But how do I know if my agent's doing a good job? That's what Foundry's brand new rubric evaluators are for. It's super simple. With just one AZD command, Foundry reads my agent and then
Слушайте,
generates the evaluation criteria for me.
круто.
In other words, it creates a rubric personalized just to this agent. Now let's check out this rubric in Foundry Portal. Look at these dimensions. Governance outcome correctness, prescribed source usage. I didn't write any of these. Foundry generated them from production traces. And with this rubric, I can score my agent and run evals, but we can do so much more than that. That's where Foundry's brand new agent optimizer takes over. Here's how it works. It tunes 4 things: the model, instructions, tool descriptions, and skills,
рабочего
and then it
пространства
generates improved
полностью.
candidates and scores each one using the rubric I just showed you.
Ветки, версии,
Here,
деплои,
I can view the
коммиты.
candidates, I can see the strategy used, I can see their scores, and I can actually view exactly what changed. This candidate, for
И что,
example, improved its score by updating the model
изменения в
and the
кандидате
system
3. Ну,
prompt. Foundry then makes it super easy to deploy the best candidate as a brand new agent version. But this is not a one-time thing. Every run feeds the next eval, and every eval tells the optimizer where to improve next. So your agents now get
Еще
better the more
искусственный
they're
интеллект
used.
анализирует
But now, let's put this agent to
версии
work. I've
и
published my agent
предлагает
to Teams and M365 Copilot, and right
задеплоить
now I'm gonna ask it to just
лучшую
catch
версию
me up on what I
приложения.
missed because I've been offline all morning, but my agent hasn't. While it works on that, though, let me explain what makes this agent different. This is an autopilot agent, which means it has its own identity and productivity license, so it can work across M365 on its own behalf. Earlier, you saw me using this agent by myself, but shipping a feature in a new release takes a whole team, and that's why this agent lives in our team's group chat. Now let's check out how it did. It summarized all updates and called out the key features I need to be tracking. But to put an agent like this actually to work in your enterprise, governance needs to come first. And that's why every autopilot agent requires admin approval. Here, admins can review all critical details, and they can even choose who has the ability to talk to the agent. But it doesn't end there. Even after approval, admins can continue to monitor the agent and block it at any time. But governance cannot apply to just one agent. Every agent in your organization needs to be managed with the same rigor as users, apps, and devices. And that's exactly what Microsoft Agent 365 provides. So let's zoom out. Today we saw Foundry accelerate development, take your agent from local to enterprise ready, and put it to work in M365. Foundry makes it simple. You build the agent, we handle the rest. Now back to you, Satya.
Thank you, Amanda.
No.
You know, what you just saw was how we're building security for AI. But there is also one other critical aspect, especially, you know, the news today is all about, you know, how do you defend yourself using AI against attacks that may in
Защита
fact be
с
using AI.
искусственным
Right? So
интеллектом.
last month we announced our multi-model agentic security system, M-Dash. That's essentially an agent
Мультимодельная
harness for
защитная
security,
система
essentially,
для
that we built.
агентов.
We're bringing together 100 agents across the frontier and custom models.
То есть
to
все
really
будет
find these
security, все
exploitable
будет
bugs better than any
принадлежать
single
только
model
вам.
does. In fact, when we debuted
Никто
this
ничего не
harness,
увидит,
it
никто
was on the
ничего не
top of
украдет.
CyberGym benchmark.
Есть
So I
своя
want you to take a
защита,
look
ну то есть
at what you can do with M-Dash to really defend against AI attacks and defend the entire digital estate. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Satya. Now, we all know that security scans can take a while, so I'm not going to do one live. So let me show you the results of an M-Dash scan I already ran on my code base. Now, the system runs as a standalone CLI, but today I'm using it in my GitHub Copilot app on my local dev machine. The scan is broken down by vulnerability domains and severity. And it's also an additional to finding traditional issues like coding errors and hard-coded secrets, it's also identifying AI-specific vulnerabilities in the code base. Now, what happened under the hood is that over 100 specialized agents are working together to discover, debate, and prove exploitable vulnerabilities end-to-end. And when the scan finishes, it generates both a SARIF log and an HTML report that I can give to my management. Now, the Defender Details command allows me to dig into these vulnerabilities, and I can see what the vulnerability is, where it is in my code, and the severity to help me
пропущенная авторизация.
prioritize. And from here, of course, we're going to fix
То
it.
есть репозиторий GitHub будет
Now,
защищен
using the
искусственным
Defender Fix
интеллектом
command,
от
the
проникновения
system will
других
remediate
разработчиков.
suggested fixes directly in my local dev environment. And when that's done, I can check out the diff. So I have full transparency about what the harness has done, and I still have a
мне это
human in the
нравится.
loop check. But, of course, everything I've shown you so far has run locally, but I can also create a PR,
Слушайте, чем
plug
дальше,
into my
чем
existing
дальше мы
workflows,
смотрим,
and
тем больше
push
мне
up
это
to my
нравится.
repo.
and I can take the serif
Хочется
output
все это
from the
заюзать в
scan,
своей
and I can
работе,
upload it to tools
в
like
разработке.
GitHub Advanced Security and manage
Просто
everything
взять, сказать
alongside my
спасибо и
other
пойти
application
работать.
security findings. Now, I've shown you M- working on my code, but let me show you a vulnerability our security research teams identified using M- that you can go and look up yourself. So the TLDR, because this is a lot to read, of this bug is that WASM time reads an out-of-date map of an object, runs off the end, and then it crashes the host. So this is exactly the kind of bug that the harness was built for, because the flaw is spread across 3 different parts of the code base. So no single file looks wrong on its own. They look absolutely fine. And we can even see here, which is probably my favorite part of this bug, a very confident statement from the developers claiming everything is fine. Now, this is exactly the sort of reassurance that fools normal scanners and single AI models. But M- wasn't fooled. One team of agents spotted the suspicious gap, another team argued it apart, and a third team built a working example that actually triggered the crash. And it did all of this in an open source code base. And this is the kind of joined up reasoning that previously required significant manual security research effort. This is M- helping developers create secure code from the start, coming soon to your CLI and the Microsoft Defender portal. Back to you, Satya.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. So that was the stack. Before, though, we move to unpacking more of the opportunity, I want to do something different. I want to introduce 2 people whose LinkedIn profiles were both super impressive and slightly perplexing. Under current role, it says they're
Да, здорово
general
сделали.
partners at
Просто здорово.
Mantis VC. Under previous role, it says they
Мне вот
sold out
интересно,
Madison
что-то
Square
из
Garden.
этого
Please help me
работать на
welcome
Маке
Alex
будет,
and Drew from the
чтобы я мог
Chainsmokers.
бы
Alex,
это
Drew.
использовать. Из того, что они показали на конференции,
So
на
wonderful
билд
seeing you, Alex. Thank you
26.
so much. One of the things when my team came to me and said, hey, we're going to have chain smokers at Build, I thought maybe that's what we're calling our new GitHub Copilot app. But, it's so, I thought maybe they're your fans. But tell me about how you got into this. I mean, you've been at it now for what, 12 plus years as venture capitalists or angel investors first, and you've had your firm now for 7 plus years. And you even picked what I would have not thought is the natural place, which is B2B SaaS even as the first place. But just give us a little bit about the backstory on this.
Sure. Well, hey, I'm sure you guys are wondering what timeline you're on where the Chainsmokers are at Microsoft, Bill. But hey, how are you? We've been in the Chainsmokers for 14 years, and when our music started to take off in the mid 2000 teens, we got to play a few events like this. And we met a lot of the founders from the consumer mobile cloud era of startups, and they taught us a lot and gave us a front row seat into what early stage investing was like. We fell in love with it. We found we had a lot in common with these
То есть
founders,
даже
and the
для
way that they built their
музыкантов
business was the same way that we thought
искусственный
about
интеллект
starting
помогает
the
в
Chainsmokers
лайв-сессиях диджеям,
and kind of
допустим.
breaking through the noise there. And we got to participate in a few of their deals. We were very lucky, and we decided to institutionalize in 2020 and start our own fund.
That's so cool. And when you sort of hear about all this AI stuff and what's happening, obviously there's a lot even going on. Even in your portfolio, we were talking backstage, things are changing. How do you sort of see the opportunity going forward?
I mean, there's so many vectors you could talk about this on. Of course, there's the creative output side, which we've been experimenting with in music, but always important to have your authenticity when it comes to creativity. But on the investment side, I think we're moving from producing outputs to producing actions, which I think presents like a very interesting opportunity to kind of reimagine the entire architecture of the way software and enterprise has been built. So instead of humans, producing outputs, it's machines producing outputs, and rethinking what that entire space looks like in that context.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic to see that. And maybe just to close out, any sort of as artists who have had great success, when you look at a founder, what sort of is the advice you give them when you're creating, you're bringing something new? And it's a creative process. So what are you looking for in founders? What is it that you're giving them as advice?
Totally. I mean, there really are so many parallels. Maybe it seems like that, maybe it doesn't. But I mean, it's really difficult as artists to really find, I guess, what your sound is, what's authentically you, what you can continue to do over and over, because with this much competition, you have to be moving authentically, you have to be connected to the product that you're creating, and because you're going to have to iterate and keep it going and have consistency for a long period of time to kind of lock into your fan base and make something that's special and unique. And you know, we try to advise our founders to do the same thing.
Fantastic. Thank you both for joining us. Are you game for playing for us this evening for our closest friends here?
We'll be there.
6 o'clock, 6 this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We'll be right here at 6 p.m. Tonight, and really looking forward to it.
Анонс диджей-сессии вот этих людей, артистов.
Let's talk about what is the opportunity for every company, right? At the end of the day, we are institution and organizational builders. Whether it's an AI native company, whether it's a SaaS company, whether it's an enterprise, the first thing we want to do is make sure that as you build things like plugins or agents or your AI apps, we want to make
Локальные модели, агенты SDK, плагины.
Microsoft ecosystem. That's job number one for us. That's what we're doing the things we're doing in Windows or the Microsoft 365 Copilot or in Teams or in GitHub. We want to
Teams,
structure
Microsoft
them such
Copilot
that
365.
your applications, your agents, your plugins are discovered. Customers are also
Ваши агенты,
building
ваши плагины, ваши приложения.
line of business agents, then using Copilot Studio, and we want to make that all discoverable again as part of the Copilot experience. And Teams, in some sense, has become this destination for multiplayer human-to-agent interaction. We want you to be able to find agents, interact with agents right in Teams. And we are supercharging all of this. Copilot continues to evolve very quickly. It started first with chat, with some of the best models, with great access to Work IQ. We didn't have the name Work IQ, but now
Ну, что по
that's kind of
Copilot,
where it
давай.
got started. Then came
Удиви.
Co-work, a new way of working and generating these
Chat,
stunning artifacts and
Co-work.
solve these multi-step problems, right? So you assign multi-step tasks to co-work. You saw GitHub. GitHub has continued to evolve
Code.
as well. And now, as of come summer,
У Copilot
you will
теперь
be
3 режима. Просто чат, Co-work и код.
Super app, right? That's going to be really
То есть мы
exciting
выбираем
to
код
see,
и
yeah?
можем с помощью Copilot
So you'll have
писать.
chat, co-work, and code all in Copilot. But today,
Co-work —
we're
это составление
introducing
расписания,
something
планы
completely
на
new.
день.
Autopilots.
Автопилоты еще.
We can
Autopilots.
think of autopilots as enterprise-grade claws. These are autonomous, long-running agents with full enterprise compliance that run in your tenant. Autopilots
Это
can have a name,
автоматические
personality,
агенты,
custom
которые могут
connectors, context, and memory. And they're totally new way to reduce toil and get you back to what
самостоятельно
you
работать.
love. To kick things off, the first autopilot we are introducing is Scout. Let's take a look.
Скаут. Нон-стоп. Пилот. Новый. Скаут. Мониторинг писем, мониторинг сообщений. Скаут работает там, где вы работаете. Отправка писем. Там Там был еще чат, то есть отправить сообщение. Класс.
As you can
Microsoft
see,
Scout, это все
Scout works
называется.
where you work, joining group chats in Teams, handling threads in Outlook. Starting today, for those of you who are on Copilot Frontier, you can try out Scout. And in the coming
Microsoft
months,
Scout
we
надо
will build
записать.
this out to a complete digital team of autopilots right inside a Copilot, right? So you can go to the Copilot app. Scout is the one that comes by default, but you can build more of these autopilots. And so that's the future of what we think of as the Copilot ecosystem itself. And so far, we have talked a lot about what you can do to build your own agents and how these agents are discovered in things like Copilot and Teams and Windows. But when you think about what makes any organization, any enterprise, any company unique, it is its tacit knowledge that it's continuously compounding through its operations. So the key consideration at some level in an AI age is to ask the question, what's the future of the firm? How do you continue to preserve and compound that tacit knowledge in the age of AI where models can learn anything from the data and the trajectories they see? To do that, we believe that every organization, whether it's an AI native company,
Для
a SaaS
организации.
company, or any enterprise, will need to build their own hill climbing machine. It's a system that continuously improves against your objectives, your private evals, compounding your advantage over time, not someone else's. To deliver on this, we're taking the next step with frontier tuning. We have been working with many customers already to help with, really build their own learning loop, the environment, the context, the tools, the rubrics, and even train their own models. And today, we are really thrilled and excited about supercharging that frontier tuning capability with the innovation that's coming out of our Super Intelligence Lab. To tell you all about this, let me hand it over to Mustafa. Mustafa?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We really are living in the most remarkable times. Since I started working in AI, the compute that we use to train frontier models has increased by 1 trillion-fold. That's 12 orders of magnitude of computation in just 15 years. It's now clear that a consistent exponential increase in
1 триллион
computation
моделей
leads to predictable
за 15 лет.
advances in AI capabilities. And in the next few years, we're going to see 3 more orders of magnitude of compute applied to train frontier models. Intelligence is now a function of compute. Log linear hill climbing has become the norm. The scaling laws are clearly holding, and it is a remarkable time in our industry. And so, in this context, we at MAI are building towards what we call humanist superintelligence, state-of-the-art AI capabilities that are explicitly designed to serve people and organizations and not replace them. Because the type of AI that we create really does matter. We need an AI that places humanity first.
Так, стоп, сейчас я пойму.
Human well-being and human progress. This is the core philosophy and motivation behind our superintelligence efforts at Microsoft, and it shapes everything that we do. And as a platform company, our job and our commitment is to keep you developers building at the absolute frontier. So today, we are very excited to announce a family of 7 new models across image, voice, transcription, and coding.
О, 7 новых моделей. Что там?
These are all built with real
Картинки,
attention to detail and a commitment to making very
транскрипции,
practical and efficient tools that are tuned to just how you work in the real world.
код, голос, то есть можно озвучивать что-либо.
7
флеш-моделей.
Number 2 on the leaderboard, surpassing the score of Nano Banana 2 on image editing. They give you precise editing with incredible control and consistency. Flash is here for super efficient production workloads, while 2.5 gives you that maximum fidelity and professional grade performance. They're live in PowerPoint today, they're rolling out to OneDrive, and right now you can access them on Foundry at a market-leading quality per dollar. Next up, we've got MAI Transcribe 1.5. This is the best transcription model in the world. State-of-the-art accuracy across 43 languages, beating out Gemini
То
and
есть текст
OpenAI's
в голос.
flagship transcription models. We've optimized it for real-world
42
use so
языка.
that you can produce
На
highly
русском тоже
accurate
есть.
transcripts
Ух
for
ты!
any bespoke use case
43 языка,
5
русский
times
присутствует.
faster than all rival models. It's now being integrated inside a GitHub, Teams, Copilot, Dynamics 365 Contact Center, and it's now also available in Foundry, where I'm very excited to say it is the fastest, most efficient, and most cost-effective transcription model of any of the hyperscalers out there. So paired with that, we've got MAI Voice 2. This is our latest speech generation model. It has beautiful prosody, natural-sounding delivery, fine-grained emotional control, and it's available in 15 languages with many more coming soon. We're also announcing Voice 2 Flash, and that provides the very best value and speed for ultra-latency sensitive voice agents, which of course is the big thing in 2026. Next up, our text foundation model, MAI Thinking 1. This is our first reasoning model, and it's exceptionally strong.
Thinking
in our
1
target use
это
cases
для
of reasoning
программирования.
and SWE tasks. It's a 35 billion active parameter MOE with a 256K context window. That means that it competes in the medium-sized weight class, where it's certainly punching above its weight. And independent human raters on Surge prefer it in overall quality side-by-sides.
Короче, ребята, все для людей. Microsoft в этом году
It's achieved 97% on AME 2025, which is obviously the key measure of its general purpose reasoning abilities. But most importantly of all, it's now at 53% on SWE Pro, which places it right alongside Opus 4.6, at least on the toughest coding benchmark that's out there. So we're very happy with that. Now, there's plenty more for us to do as we get this into production and hill climb against real-world tasks and real-world traffic. But what is actually most remarkable about this model, we think, is that it is climbed entirely from the bottom. And that means that it hasn't targeted any of the benchmarks specifically, and it's done so with absolutely zero distillation. And to us, this is critical, because it means that the model is created with an enterprise-grade, clean, and commercially licensed data lineage that means that you can put it into production in a very trustworthy way with complete confidence. Now, finally, I'm incredibly excited to announce MAI Code 1 Flash. This is our new inference-efficient coding model, which has been especially tuned for VS Code and, of course, GitHub Copilot CLI. It achieves 51% on
Copilot и
SWE
Visual Studio
despite
Code
having just 5
поддерживается
billion
MAI Code.
parameters. And so it's much
Хорошо.
closer to Haiku in terms of size, but cheaper in cost, delivering really strong coding performance at great inference
5 миллиардов
efficiency. It's
параметров.
rolling out today inside of VS Code. Now, alongside distribution on Foundry and optimization for our 1P products, we're also very excited to make our models available on Open Router as well as Fireworks and Base 10. So this means that for the first time, you're going to be able to tune the weights
Open
directly
Router,
yourself
Fireworks
in an ecosystem of your
и
choice.
Base 10.
Now, across this entire family, safety and security have been built in from the start. Our voice models come with protections against unauthorized cloning. Everything is watermarked from scratch. We've reduced our over-refusals, improved representation, including for people with disabilities. We're also publishing a very detailed technical report today to give you a full and transparent understanding of how we've put all of this together. Now, one of the things I'm particularly excited about is that we have been carefully co-designing our models with our own silicon. So that means that we've optimized MAI Thinking 1 on our very own Maya 200 chip and benchmarked it head-to-head against the GB200. And so on top of the
для
30% performance
чипов,
improvement that Satya talked about
для
earlier,
компьютеров с
we're
чипами,
now seeing a further 1.4x
ARM
performance
чипами.
per watt gain when we run our MAI models on the Maya 200 end to end. And that's huge, because as everybody knows, at this scale, every watt counts. And silicon and model co-design is a really key advantage that we think is going to help keep everybody here right on the frontier with the most efficient and most powerful thinking and coding agents out there. We're also super excited that these faster and more efficient MAI models are coming to the N1X that Satya mentioned a few moments ago, and we think that's going to be able to deliver the very best performance on Windows in a few months' time. Now, to us, this is what owning the full stack end-to-end looks like. It's the foundation of Microsoft Frontier Tuning, lets you customize the MAI models using our full stack hill climbing machine right where you want it. And it means that the disciplined and very relentless engineering that has gone into building our models is now available to all
Данные
of you. A
приватные,
platform that you can trust, working on your behalf to create
сделано для
custom
вас.
agents that you will control. So the really big thing, of course, that's happened in the last year is these RLEs, reinforcement learning environments,
защищено на
these unique
старте.
training gyms for your AIs. They create company and task-specific agents adapted only to you, built on MAI models. So for example, within Microsoft, we use our RLEs combined with our MAI models to climb towards the best agentic use cases on Excel. Our MAI-tuned model is now on par with GPT 5.4 on public and private benchmarks, whilst at the same time being 10 times more efficient on cost. Thank you. You know, and many other early adopters are seeing similar results. When we've tuned our models on McKinsey's tasks, MAI delivered the highest win rate, even
Не просто
outperforming
будущее
GPT
создали,
5.5,
прямо сейчас.
and again delivering 10x greater efficiency on cost. So to us, this is the advantage of very carefully calibrated frontier tuning. And importantly, unlike with some of the other companies, with MAI, you don't rent intelligence from a shared model that learns from everybody. Only you keep the benefits of your hard-earned workflows, know-how, knowledge, and your own institutional data. Only you get to control the resulting model. And so with us, the
Все модели
RLEs
под
and
вашим
the models that
контролем.
you build inside of them, they become your moat. I really think this is distinct.
Дистрибуция, бренд,
It marks a new era in AI that we're all very,
все под
very
вашим
excited about.
контролем.
Okay, so now just one final announcement that I'm very excited about. We are taking customization and co-creation of our models to the highest level possible on what I think of as perhaps the most important application of AI, healthcare. So today we're very proud to be announcing that we're partnering with Mayo Clinic to jointly develop a new frontier model for health and then deploy it around the world in their hospitals and beyond. So this morning, please help me in welcoming to the stage a physician, groundbreaking researcher, president and CEO of the Mayo Clinic,
Mayo Clinic
Dr.
это, по-моему,
Gianrico Ferrugia.
модель, да. Или просто... Нет.
Thank you so much for being here,
Или я
Gianrico.
ошибся, стоп.
Now, of course, everyone will recognize
это
Mayo as
клиника.
perhaps the leading hospital in the
Клиника,
world with an
которая
incredible track record
коллабится с
of
Microsoft.
research and innovation and clinical practice. Tell us a little bit more about what you hope to get
То
out
есть
of
в
our
этой
collaboration.
клинике
Well,
будет
first of all,
этот
thanks for having
искусственный
me here.
интеллект.
Thanks to Satya as well. Mayo Clinic is known for being able to
Я
live
понял.
up to our primary value.
Дошло.
The needs of the patient come first. We deliver outstanding healthcare. We're ranked the #1 healthcare
Это
organization in the world.
Нет, это
Yet we
компания.
know most people in the world
Не
will not
клиника,
have
ребята,
access to Mayo
все,
Clinic.
компания.
So 7 years ago, we decided to create
Я
a
за час
platform, Mayo
уже,
Clinic platform,
то есть немножко
moving all of
подустал.
healthcare from a pipeline to a platform.
Ну,
And with our
представили
partners, that
очень
platform
много
now is in 4
интересного
continents
для
and reaches
программистов,
about
для
100 million
кодеров.
people. It has created the largest, to our knowledge, deepest longitudinal healthcare data set in the world, multimodal, including genomics. So here together now we have the opportunity to do what we do best together, which is create a frontier model for healthcare. What it means if you're a patient,
Прикольно.
if you're somebody interested in healthcare, you can get clinical and logistical answers to your healthcare. But if you're a healthcare provider, if you're a physician, It can give you insights. It can act as your real-time team member that can tell you what is likely to happen next, but it can also prevent harm and therefore increase patient safety, and giving valuable insights that make the team better at giving you what you need most, which is better healthcare.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that we're most excited about is that the models are already pretty incredible at textbook knowledge. They've read all the journals and all the papers, but what they're really lacking is the kind of clinical practice and clinical expertise of your team and your clinicians that you developed over the last many decades. So how do you think we might go about using that clinical practice to improve the performance of the model in production?
So the exciting part here is we each do what we do best, and we can tackle something that has eluded healthcare for a long time: trusted, scalable solutions. And to do that, you need to have the right data, you certainly need to have the right people, but you also need to have a very patient-focused lens. And between the two of us, we now have all this together so we can build this frontier model and then offer safe, secure, trustworthy, and of course effective healthcare solutions for all.
Well, our number one objective, of course, is to put the patient first, deliver the highest quality we can in a trusted way, and then hopefully share that with the world over. So we're very excited for this partnership. Can't wait to share more with everyone in the future.
Us too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Обязательно сейчас? Спасибо большое. Обязательно сейчас?
So today marks some very, very exciting steps that we're taking on our journey to create humanist superintelligence at Microsoft. We now have an incredible roster of 7 new world-class models to keep everybody working at the absolute frontier. And we're really looking forward to everybody being able to co-create your own unique agents adapted to you that you'll control. I really feel like this is a new era in AI, an era of AI that you control on your terms. So let's build it together. Thank you very much, everyone.
Да, 7 моделей это жирно.
And now over to Tanya to show us how frontier tuning works in practice.
А теперь sneak-peek.
Thanks, Mustafa. With frontier tuning, we're making it possible for you to create your own enterprise AI with the models and the harness tuned on your data and your workflows. Let me show you how you can build your own hill climbing machine. MAI
Вот
Thinking
это уже
1 is now
интересненько.
available in private preview in the Foundry model catalog. You can go ahead and deploy the model as is, or if you want to go on your own hill climbing journey, you can start by clicking the fine-tune button. Now I'm in the fine-tuning UI. The first thing I'll do is add my data set. Next, I'm going to add a grader, and that's it. I go ahead and submit the job. Couple of
База
hours
данных.
in, I see how the model is learning. It generates rollouts, it scores them, and we start to hill climb. Now, if you want full control over your RL training loop, let me give you a sneak peek into our low-level training API. You can see here I have the MAI thinking model. I can also configure my rollout strategy as well as my hyperparameters to define exactly how I want my training algorithm to work. In fact, I can also incorporate my own RL gym here by defining the tools that this model interacts with. All right, you just saw all the code. But as an
ближе к делу.
M365 customer, you're never starting from scratch. Let's hop on to Copilot. As a part of frontier tuning, we're introducing a new way to build RL environments based on your data and your workflows. One of our customers, Land O'Lakes, one amongst the largest agribusinesses in the United States, is in fact using this to perfect that butter on your morning toast.
Твоя работа.
Let me walk you through their
Не
environment.
переживай.
Now, on a high level, the environment consists of skills, knowledge, and tools. But in the back end, we create an entire RL gym for your agents to continuously learn the way that you work. Now, let's look at the butter report generation skill here. These tasks are very complex. They require many manual steps, and a high degree
Ну,
of
то есть
precision.
тренировка модели.
Now, in these tasks, even 80% accuracy isn't good enough. To hill climb to higher accuracy, we're extending the industry definition of skills to include rubrics on what good looks like. But this is just one task. How do I scale this to codify all of the tasks in an enterprise? You spend a lot of time in M365, in Teams, Outlook, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. We use those signals to suggest skills and rubrics that truly define the way that you work. Next, you can add your organizational knowledge for grounding, like from OneDrive, SharePoint. Now, the environment comes built in with Microsoft tools, and you can add custom tools to it. Because these tools tap into real workflows, we virtualize
Короче,
them to
кодинг
simulate
будет
execution,
прокачанный.
so the
По
model
полной
can
программе
learn
прокачанный.
without actually impacting the life state of your business. And now, my most favorite part, the science.
Но за все надо
By
платить деньги,
generalizing all of these
чтобы это
learnings
работало.
into the main model,
Может,
as well
что-то
as
будет
in the
работать за
embedding
так.
model,
За спасибо.
we're able to hill climb for tasks that require high accuracy. And not only this, we are able to hill climb to more than 90% accuracy for Land O'Lakes tasks using the MEI model.
Создать свою
In
модель можно,
fact,
что ли?
we estimate this model to be 10x more efficient than the baseline models. Now, with this environment set up, let's go back to butter reporting. Let's run this task, this time using this tuned environment as an inferencing harness. Now, usually this task takes a couple of minutes to run. In the
Сделай
meantime, I
репорт
will show you a
с моих
cached
последних
response.
Teams
Now,
разговоров.
as you can see here, the agent has leveraged test time tree search with multiple models, including a fine-tuned model. And what you see here is a summary that doesn't feel generic. It feels undoubtedly Land O'Lakes. And that's not it. The task holds itself to high standards, and it
Отчет
continuously
написала ей.
retrospects and evaluates itself. This way,
Да.
with frontier tuning, your agent continuously improves with your compliant RL environment on your data, encoding the way you work. Now that is what I call frontier tuning as smooth as butter. We cannot wait to see the environments you built. Back to you, Satya.
Right. Thank you so much, Tanya, Mustafa, Genrico. Thank you for
Да,
the
можно
partnership
создавать
here.
свои модели.
You know, what you just saw is a
Даже
pretty
свои модели. Надо
significant
подумать,
shift.
что как раз вовремя.
We believe that
Как
times
раз
come for
вовремя.
every company to
Потому
just
что у меня
move
идея есть
from
по поводу своего
consuming
приложения.
a frontier
Туда что-то
model
встроить
to
интересно.
fully participating at the
Только
frontier
не
in the
просто
frontier
встроить,
ecosystem.
понимаете, а
That's the
вот что-то
transition.
полезное сделать.
You can have your own private
Чтобы этим можно было
evals and
пользоваться.
outcomes, your private RLEs and traces, your enterprise knowledge, create this scaffolding for models to hill climb. That's what will allow you to create that differentiated IP that you own, you control. But the second salient point is that there is a new operating point at the frontier where you can use a very efficient reasoning model and a coding model and achieve frontier level performance because you've done the hard work of creating that environment, that RLE, that hill climbing machine in which these models with your traces can hill climb to the frontier. So we think that the combination of these two is a pretty big game changer in how people think about what does it mean to operate at the frontier? What does frontier tokens look like? How are you in control? What's the future of a firm? These are the big questions. And really an ecosystem that gets built around as opposed to a few models that just are hungry for all data. To close out, though, I want to talk about that frontiers beyond that push this ecosystem of ours and really say, what's the next big thing? Bending the curve you know, when Mustafa talked about this with Gianrico when it comes to health, but building, you know, that scientific discovery loop can have perhaps the biggest societal impact, right? Science today still is a little too linear. You create a hypothesis, you form a hypothesis, you run an experiment, you wait for lab results, which is out of band, and then you begin again. But what if the scientific method itself could become more continuous, more parallel, more programmable? That's what we're doing with Microsoft Discovery, right? Discovery brings together the models, the HPC compute, the knowledge graphs of all the scientific knowledge, the automated lab and simulation into one agentic discovery loop. And so today, I'm really thrilled to GA Microsoft Discovery and to show you all of this in action. Let me invite up on David on stage. David, take it away.
Microsoft Discovery представили.
Hello. I work in the Microsoft Discovery and Quantum team. Today, to recycle a PET plastic like this bottle, you have to shred it and melt it. The result is degraded. You cannot use it to make this bottle again. It's downcycling. Cambridge Consultants, part of Capgemini, is using Microsoft Discovery to advance that research. Let me show it to you. This is the Microsoft Discovery app. It is based on VS Code because agentic discovery has many parallels with agentic software engineering. Today, I want to do these three things as a scientist. First, I want to write a scientific paper about this topic. I'll explore an existing line of research. Instead of melting the plastic, I can use proteins to decompose it, so you can recycle it again and
То есть
again.
по пунктам он ему расписал, вот как хочет создать бутылку и какую бутылку.
New proteins. And third, I want to create a lab protocol to test the results
Paper
in a
style.
real lab. If you are a developer, these three steps should be very familiar to you. They look a lot like planning, coding and testing, and deploying to production, but for science. Let's launch it.
Все, обложу этикетку для бутылки.
You can think of it as a team of specialized agents, always running in the background, following the scientific method. You can see those agents here, and you can add more. Microsoft Discovery includes a community of agents, models, and tools across many domains. You can use open source, third parties, or create your own. Okay, so this is still running, and it will be running for a while, even hours or days, because the discovery engine, like science, is not sequential. It is exploring hypotheses and performing long-running simulations dynamically. So let me open one that is already completed. You can see the files that it created here. This one is the research paper that I was asking for. To create it, Discovery is using a knowledge graph internally, bringing together public scientific literature and internal knowledge. This is a critical asset because it provides complete visibility of the reasoning, so scientists can be in full control. We can go now to step 2, the discovery itself. Let me open the output for that one. So, how do you come up with new proteins to decompose plastic? This is the approach that Discovery took. First, you need an AI model to predict how good a protein is for that. Then, you need a way to generate new proteins. And finally, you need to identify the most promising ones. So let's start with the model. Microsoft Discovery trained multiple models and picked the best. And there's no out-of-the-box agent for that. But that's okay. If Microsoft Discovery does not find an agent for a task, it will create one on the fly, which is pretty cool. So here's all the files that it created. This one here is the YAML for the agent. And this one, for example, is the Python code to train the models. Now we need to generate candidates for new proteins. And that task requires a lot
AI
of
учитель по фитнесу, тренер.
Discovery is
Ух ты.
integrated with HPC, so agents can use it for complex simulations. You can see the process here. It started with a seed protein, and then it created variations by replacing small segments. You can see those segments there. Then it applied the model from before to see the variation helps or not, learning in that process. This is done millions of times in multiple jobs in parallel, exploring a huge tree of proteins. The result is 80 proteins that are ready to be sent to the lab for testing, which we said it was like deploying software, right? The problem, though, is that creating a protein is a little bit more complicated. The most common way is inserting DNA into bacteria, so the bacteria create the protein for me. So Discovery created another file, this one here. This file contains all the DNA sequences to create each protein. I can send this now to a lab, create the proteins, and test them. Or I can go one step further.
Прикольненько.
If I have an automated lab, I can integrate it directly with the
Искусственный интеллект
agents.
теперь показывает, полезен ли протеин или нет. То есть это для здоровья или нет для здоровья. И какой протеин принимать человеку. То есть
This will use a custom agent that is sending the instructions for the lab equipment.
все расписать
And this
может.
is
Этот.
very
Он
real.
создал, короче,
Cambridge
тренера по
consultants
фитнесу, который
does
может
have
все
an
это
automated lab,
показать.
and I have it
В зависимости от
right
человека,
here.
то есть.
So this is the application controlling the lab.
Бля, что
It has a Copilot interface,
происходит?
so the scientists can interact with the lab
Что
to
может
design
искусственный
experiments,
интеллект
which is,
теперь
it
делать?
feels like being
Вообще.
Iron Man, but for chemistry. In this case, Discovery is submitting the job. You can see it already here. But remember, you need to grow the bacteria, so this will take some time. So let me open a previous run. And there you go. These are all the steps that the agents are doing. Most of them completely automated with human supervision. How cool is that?
Прикольно. Да, классно.
This is bringing together the physical world and the digital agents in a unified discovery loop. And this was just one example of what Microsoft Discovery can do. Customers across industries are using it today to embrace a new era of scientific discovery. Thank you. Back to you, Satya.
Thank you so much, David. Talking about scientific discovery, we're also continuing to make rapid progress on our long-term goal of building a scalable quantum computer. We announced last year our first QPU. We created a new state of matter that was only theorized 100 years
Квантовый
ago,
процессор.
and we proved it out
Да
that it
ладно.
exists.
Первый
Our vision
квантовый
was to
процессор.
take a very radically different approach to addressing the fundamental barriers to building a scalable quantum machine, which is all about reliability, speed, as well as size. Since then, we have continued to make progress across the full quantum stack with both our academic and industry partners. In fact, in Keynote, we will have a quantum computer powered by atom computers, natural atom computers, with our stack in there. We're also working with Algorithmic and Columbia and ETH Zurich. And we ourselves, in fact, use this discovery agentic loop to accelerate the work in quantum, compressing years of research into this last year. And today, I'm really thrilled to announce Majorana 2. And so this is Majorana 2. Majorana 2 implements the next generation material stack that we use Discovery to discover and build and help fabricate. The resulting qubits are exceptionally reliable and capable of maintaining their state much longer.
Операции в одну
Other common
микросекунду.
approaches deliver a lifetime of just microseconds or even milliseconds. Majorana 2 provides qubit mean lifetime of 20 seconds or up to even a minute, essentially 1,000 times higher than what we were able to achieve with Majorana 1. And the operations, and this is so key, operations in Majorana 2 are 1
новое
microsecond,
поколение
enabling
Majorana.
pretty complex quantum computation in that lifetime. And all of this in the same qubit form factor of Majorana 1. In 1/100th of a millimeter control, all digitally, which is again a super important aspect. Making it all possible to fit 1 million of these qubits in a chip smaller than a credit card. It's this combination of the reliability, the speed, the size that makes the topological approach so unique. With Majorana 1, we had proven out the foundational physics And with Myrana
Да.
2, now we begin the engineering scale. But ultimately, yeah. But ultimately, it is never about tech for tech's sake. It's about tackling those pressing challenges of
Ребята, я надеюсь,
people
он не
and planet.
собирается все анонсы
It
на
is also the
2027 год
fundamental point
показать.
of this conference. The question is not whether you can build the next great model, the next great platform, or even this quantum machine. It's the question is how do we
Мне так
build this
кажется,
frontier ecosystem together? Because
у меня
there are
Windows
really
11
two
24
stories
два
people can
домашний
tell
стоит на
about
ПК.
this moment.
Это хорошо.
One
И
is that
для
technology
домашнего компа
concentrates
лучше
power,
ПК.
reduces human
Ой,
agency,
лучше
and
этот,
leaves society to absorb
домашняя
the
версия для
consequences.
домашнего ПК.
The other is that we
Я всем
use this
рекомендую
next
ставить
wave
домашнюю
to
версию,
unlock
если
opportunity for
домашний
developers,
компьютер. Если там
scientists, enterprises, and
про-версия
every community.
ставится только
And our
на
job is to make the second
ноутбуке.
story true. That's our North
Ну, в
Star for the
моем
frontier
понимании, я так
ecosystem.
делаю.
Let's all go build together. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.
Все, закончил? Ля, я думал, ты будешь все анонсы за 2027 год показывать. Квантовый процессор. Микросекундные операции. Лайфтайм 1 минута. Прикольно. Быстрый, маленький. Так, а чё? Ну это для... Для чего используются квантовые компьютеры? Для инфраструктуры. Человечества. Для науки, для инфраструктуры. Да. Для исследований, для работы ветряков этих.
For quantum computing to deliver real-world impact, it has to be
Для
both
здоровья,
reliable
для
and scalable.
использования в медицине.
Reaching quantum at scale will allow us to take a more direct approach to solving problems in chemistry.
Но это тоже огромный шаг
Life
вперед.
sciences.
The way in which we bring drugs to market. It opens up millions of
Несомненно,
possibilities.
технологии
Quantum will
делают
change the
жизнь
world,
лучше.
and this change is just beginning
То
to
есть
happen.
стараются они для... Все эти компании для людей. Все завершено. Ну что, ребят, спасибо, что смотрели. Видео с моим мнением и итогами будет на канале. Вот, поэтому... Спасибо, что смотрели. У нас следующий стрим будет в 23:30. Это Sony будет State of Play проводить. Тематика игровая. Будем смотреть анонсы новых игр на PlayStation 5. Вот, тоже стримчик в 23:30. У меня новый виток развития проекта. Мы добавили новую тематику. Мы говорим обо всем. Технологии, устройства, гаджеты, новые операционные системы, искусственный интеллект, игры. Игры — это тоже используются технологии в играх. То есть, когда ты создаешь игру, ты используешь те же самые технологии, о которых мы говорим. PlayStation 5, Xbox это те же самые компьютеры, только немножко в другом исполнении, в виде консоли. Вот, поэтому игры это тоже технологии, а наша тематика технологий. Поэтому в 23:30 встречаемся на стриме. Sony State of Play. В 23:30 сегодня. Сама презентация начнется у нас в 12 ночи, а мы начнем в 11:30. За полчасика соберемся, поздороваемся и будем также ждать презентацию и смотреть ее. Перевел я не все, только из контекста, то, что понимал, но все равно первый опыт, как говорится. Никогда такого не делал, никогда такое не получалось, в принципе, поэтому я думаю, что, ну, первый блин всегда комом, но думаю, что получилось. Спасибо, что смотрели. До встречи на стриме через 2,5... Ой, нет. Сейчас 10. Через 1,5 часа. Сейчас 10 часов. Да, через 1,5 часа встречаемся на следующей прямой трансляции. Всем спасибо, кто смотрел Build 2026 вместе со мной. До встречи на стриме через 1,5 часа.